Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto goes back in time to save the Uzumaki clan. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Kayvien and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, A Blast to the Past. Don't like, don't read. Simple as that. You're serious? Naruto couldn't believe it. After everything he had been through with Sasuke, from chasing after him for almost 4 years, to their many battles, he could never believe in a million years Sasuke would actually kill him, but he had. Unfortunately, I am serious. You powered down your Rasengan, and Sasuke's Chidori cut right through you. As Kurama had given you the last of his chakra beforehand, and you yourself had very little chakra, you were unable to heal from the attack, and died. Hagoromo Otsutsuki stared down at the blonde-haired teen, sadness evident within his ringed eyes. He, Hagoromo, had been almost positive that by giving both Indra and Ashura's reincarnation a bit of his power, they would be able to work out their differences peacefully, and cooperate to help fulfill the prophecy of the prophesied child. Yet, Indra had killed Ashura, or maybe it was better to say Sasuke had killed Naruto. Shaking his head from such thoughts, Naruto spoke. No, not that. You're serious about actually giving me another chance? How? Naruto wasn't sure what Hagoromo meant by that, but if this was a chance to right his wrongs then he'd do it, no questions asked. He could feel nothing but anger and sadness towards Sasuke, shocked beyond all belief that the Avenger would actually kill him, but if Hagoromo could give him a chance to do it all over again, then he'd do it. But you may not like what I have to say. Should you agree I will send you back to the past, just not your past. What do you mean not my past? Naruto looked at Hagoromo as if the elder Otsutsuki was crazy. He had to go back to his past, so he could right his wrongs and help the world achieve peace like Ero-sennin wanted. He couldn't do that if he was in some other past, whatever that even meant. What I mean, young Naruto, is that there are countless timelines. Each runs at its own time speed. I cannot send you back in time, within your own timeline, as it is impossible. Instead, I will send you to another timeline that has been living throughout its own history that is almost identical to yours, with some slight changes. The timeline I will send you to is what you would consider the past. Should you accept, then I have 3 gifts I wish to give you, before you are to move on to a new timeline. Naruto's mouth dropped as he listened to what Hagoromo said. While some would consider him dumb, and an outright idiot, Naruto actually understood the gist of what he was saying. So time travel is impossible? You're not actually sending me back in time, but instead to a new timeline that just hasn't caught up with my timeline? And a gift. What do you mean? Hagoromo nodded, making Naruto feel very pleased with himself, but said nothing of the gift just yet. Correct. I do not know exactly when you will appear within the timeline. It could be during the Third Great Shinobi War, or it could be mere years after I died. All I know is, the timeline moves at a slower pace than the timeline you grew up in. However, to travel between timelines is an act that will take immense chakra, so much that not even I, alone, have enough power to send you by yourself. That is why the tailed beasts have agreed to each lend their chakra, together, to send you. Sadly, Hagoromo trailed off, and fixed Naruto with a look that shook him to the bone. Opening his mouth to speak, Naruto closed it again, too afraid to ask the question that was on the tip of his tongue. As you've undoubtedly realized, Kurama was freed from your body once you had passed. He, alongside all his brothers and sisters, have no desire to live in a world ruled by Sasuke Uchiha. Instead have chosen to sacrifice themselves, to allow you a chance to walk amongst the living once again. Naruto opened his mouth to speak again, but stopped as his breath caught in his throat just as his eyes started to tear up. He understood what that meant for the long term. He could live once again. But if Kurama was sacrificing himself to allow Naruto a chance to live, then he'd no longer be a Jinchuriki. I have to live without Kurama? Silent tears started to stream down Naruto's face at the thought of living on without Kurama. Hell, up until 2 days ago they had hated each other, always fighting for control of his body as the 9 Tails wished to be free. However, with the events of the 4th Shinobi War, Naruto had found a friend within the tailed beast. Now, after all his hard work to break that angry shell that was the 9 Tails, he was not going to have to move on to a new life without Kurama. Sadly, yes. With the loss of Kurama, you will be weakened a great deal, and I fear you might not be able to accomplish your goals, weakened as such. As much as it might pain you to accept, Kurama was a great deal of your strength. He was why you had so much chakra. It was he that was forced to heal your body any time you were injured, and it was because of him you were able to enter a tailed beast mode. With Kurama gone, you will be more susceptible to dying from wounds that would have usually healed in a few hours or days for you. Should you accept the move into a new timeline, I have something for you, to help combat your loss of power. So, what will it be? Naruto looked down, his eyes still leaking tears as his mind went to war with himself. On one hand, he could try again to achieve the peace that Ero-sennin had dreamed of, to try and achieve the mission his master had left him, and try to live a life he could be proud of, peace through love and compassion. Yet, from the pain and anguish he felt over the betrayal of Sasuke, Naruto had learned a valuable lesson. Some, like pain and Obito, could be reasoned with if given a chance. Others, like Orochimaru and Sasuke, were so dead set in their ways that they couldn't be reasoned with, and would need to be killed. Ignoring that, Naruto let his thoughts drift to his friends and family. As great as it sounded to move on, Naruto also wanted to see his friends and family again someday. If I agree, will I ever see my family and friends again? Thankfully, Hagoromo nodded. Yes, the Pure Lands are not what people expect. It holds every life to have ever existed, in every timeline that has existed. Though the areas are separated to keep the timelines and the people within the timelines separated, you can still travel to and fro once you have died. Meaning, you will see any friends and family you make in your new timeline, as well as your friends and family from your old timeline once you finally die. Hearing he would still see his mom, dad, Jiraiya, Hiruzen and everyone else once he died was what Naruto needed to know to make his decision. I'll do it. Even if I have to live without Kurama, I'll do it. Besides, I can always find and befriend the Jinchuriki of Kurama in this new timeline, and help him or her out if possible. Do I at least get to say goodbye to Kurama? Sadly, the sage shook his head no, then spoke. No, my boy. We are currently residing within the plane known as Limbo. Though you are semi-dead, I was able to pull you in here before you fully passed on, but I cannot pull a fully living or fully dead being, such as Kurama, into Limbo. Bringing his arm up, Naruto wiped away the tears spilling from his face and choked back a sob at the fact that he'd never see his Kurama ever again. Sasuke actually killing him hurt, but that didn't even begin to compare to the fact that he'd never see Kurama again. Hell, Naruto was already making plans to kick Sasuke's ass once he saw him in the Pure Lands again, but he could make no plans to do anything with his Kurama. It plain and simple sucked. I see Naruto's shoulders slumped, and a glazed look overcame the blonde as he just felt immensely numb at the betrayal and loss he had experienced. Feeling a hand on his shoulder, Naruto looked up to see the apologetic look Hagoromo was giving him. I am sorry, Naruto. However, we must move things along as I do not have much time left in this world. Time for your gift, then you'll be on your way. Hagoromo pulled his hand away from Naruto, and took a deep breath as he floated forward, reached into his cloak and pulled out a glowing sea blue orb. Looking at it in curiosity, Naruto looked up to the sage and asked what it was. This, my dear boy, is a part of the soul of Obito Uchiha, who has asked me to give you his powers. Naruto froze, his mind racing with countless thoughts of Tobi who had helped start the Fourth Shinobi War, only to be redeemed in the end and go back to being Obito Uchiha, the boy who wanted to be Hokage. Obito wishes for me to convey his heartfelt apology for all the pain and suffering he had caused you in your life, and wishes to give to you his Manjikyu Sharingan. Not only that, Obito has asked me to tell you, and I quote, stay true to who you are. You're Naruto Uzumaki, the boy who wished to become Hokage. Do not let the pain and betrayal of Sasuke change you too much. After all, if you change who you are, then you are no longer Naruto Uzumaki. End quote. Naruto's mouth opened to reply, only to close as his mind raced with countless thoughts about not only Obito, but the fact that Obito was willing to literally give him part of his soul, just so he had the power to survive in his next timeline. Instead of saying anything, Naruto nodded slightly, too shocked to force any coherent sentence out of him. He, however, is not the only one who has asked me to give you a part of their soul. Can you guess who else has asked me? Pulling out a vibrant red glowing orb, Naruto felt his mouth run dry as he knew who it was immediately. At least, he really hoped it was who he thought it was. And Mom? Hagoromo nodded, and brought both of his hands together, which merged the souls of Obito Uchiha and Kushina Uzumaki, which turned the now single soul a dark purple. Correct. From Obito you shall receive his Manjikyu Sharingan, alongside his knowledge on how to use the Sharingan, Manjikyu Sharingan, Kamui and Susanoo. From your mother you shall receive her ability to mold and create adamantine chakra chains, as well as a boost to your chakra. This way, your chakra should only shrink a little bit, though it will not be the same size it was when you had Kurama. And finally, from me you shall receive my healing ability, though the world, as I know it, calls them Hashirama cells. This will combat the blindness effect of the Manjikyu. Pulling out a rather small silver orb, Hagoromo pushed it into the glowing purple orb. Naruto, though, he felt his eyes water at the fact that his mother was willing to give him a part of her soul as well, which Naruto wordlessly understood to be Kushina giving him the okay to move on to another timeline. However, Naruto wanted to know something. Did she say anything to me? Hagoromo nodded and smiled, knowing full well what it meant to the blonde boy in front of him. Of course, however, dear boy, I must ask that you understand that what I am about to tell you are your mother's words directly, so I mean you no disrespect. Naruto nodded, and steeled himself a little scared to know what Kushina had to say. She said, and I quote, "You little fool! How dare you power down your Rasengan and die at the hands of that little brat? I need to go smack Mikoto around after THIS, but I love you, son. Please live on and live a life you can be proud of. Remember the 3 inhibitions of shinobi, eat your vegetables even if you don't like them, and stay away from toxic women. Do not follow in Jiraiya's pervy footsteps, but if you can grow up to be a shinobi like him, or your father, I could not be prouder. I know you can find peace in whatever era you find yourself in. Be happy, eat healthily, have a family, and live your life. I promise, I will be the first to greet you when you join Jiraiya, your father and I in the Pure Lands. Again, I love you more than life itself, and hope the part of my soul in you can help you." End quote. Naruto laughed, his mouth stretching wide as tears streamed down his face. Feeling a hand on his shoulder, Naruto looked up and was greeted by a small smile from Hagoromo. Your mother, she cares for you greatly. Remember that, and let her love for you be your guiding light in staying true to who you are. As for your father, I didn't have much time, so he said, and I quote what your nagging mother said, son. Just know, I love you more than anything and could not have been prouder to fight alongside you in the fourth great shinobi war. End quote. Unfortunately, I was not able to stay long enough to hear anything from that hermit. Jirai Naruto laughed out loud, cutting Hagoromo off as he shook his head. I know what Ero-sennin would say. Naruto, find some hot babes in the past and make me proud to be your godfather, or something along those lines. Hagoromo smirked, but said nothing as he brought forth the glowing purple soul, and held it out for Naruto to take. What do I do with this? Simply grab it, and it will be absorbed into your body. After that, I shall open a portal for you that will take you to the land of fire, in whatever time period you find yourself in. Then, it's all up to you. Though you might meet me again, I will not remember you. Reaching his hand out, and grabbing the glowing soul from Hagoromo, Naruto watched in amazement as the second he touched it, it was absorbed into his skin. Then came an immense pain in both his eyes and all over his body as 3 new additions were added to his soul. His head started to pound, and Naruto couldn't help but cry out and fall to the floor as knowledge on how to use the Sharingan, Manjikyu Sharingan, Kamui, Susanoo, and the adamantine chakra chains burned itself into his mind. Feeling a hand wrap around his arm, Naruto was pulled to his feet and shakily tried to keep himself upright, and from throwing up as this hurt even worse than having Kurama ripped from his body. But as fast as it came, the pain subsided and left a feeling of power within Naruto. His chakra felt larger than most people could only dream of, yet not quite near the same level as when he had Kurama. Ignoring that though, and using the knowledge that he had on how to activate the Sharingan, Naruto pushed chakra into his eyes and grinned at what he was seeing. His vision was clearer than it had even been, while his depth perception was even better than it had been. The most shocking thing though, was how Naruto could see the chakra flowing through Hagoromo. Grinning at that, Naruto turned off the Sharingan and pushed chakra into his lower back and out of his tenketsu, which in turn caused 4 adamantine chakra chains to blow through the mesh armor he was wearing, and resembled 4 tails waving around. Amazing, isn't it? I remember the first time I activated the Sharingan, I had observed every little thing that I could with my eyes, making note of stuff I had missed before. Anyways, shall we get you on your way? Naruto smiled, a sad smile this time as he bowed low to Hagoromo. I thank you, Hagoromo-sama. Speaking in a deadly serious voice, Naruto tried his best to convey just how thankful he was, from that one sentence. As much as it all sucked, losing his friends and family, and dying at the hands of the one he called brother, it was nice to know Hagoromo was willing to help him like this. Of course, though you're a reincarnation, you are still, in a way, my son. I wish to see you succeed and live a life you can be proud of. If I can help you achieve that life, then I will do so. Now, are you ready? Taking a deep breath, Naruto nodded. Then prepare yourself. I shall open a portal behind you, that will in turn open up within the land of fire and whatever time period you are heading to. You may leave when you're ready. Also here. I grabbed this for you. Reaching his hand out, Hagoromo handed Naruto a piece of cloth with a metal plate on it. Naruto's eyes widened as he realized what it was. It was the headband Iruka had given him when he graduated and that he lost during his fight with Sasuke. Hagoromo used the powers of his Rinnegan and his third eye in tandem. A portal opened right behind Naruto. Now go forth, my child. Live a life you can be proud of. Nodding, Naruto took one last look at Hagoromo, the single anchor to the world with which he was familiar with, then turned and stepped through the portal. In a mere second Naruto was gone, leaving Hagoromo alone within the plane of limbo. Oh, stepping out of the portal, Naruto took 2 shaky steps then fell down to the ground as tears started to leak from his eyes in waves. He had done it. He had left behind his world, and passed on the chance to die so he could rejoin his friends and family in the afterlife, to have another go at life. But that wasn't the entire reason he was crying. After all, of all that had happened, being betrayed and killed by Sasuke was the clincher that had his chest constricting tightly, and tears falling from his eyes. He had tried, damned hard to save his friend and bring him back to Sakura, and look what that had done to him. He had died, and left Sasuke in a world where he, Sasuke, was now the strongest. No doubt Grandma Tsunade, Gaara, and the other Kage had been assassinated while they each dreamed of their perfect world. No doubt Sasuke had used the powers of the tailed beast to free everyone from the infinite Tsukuyomi, as Hagoromo said he would, only to force the world into a peace with Sasuke as their leader. To know that after everything he'd gone though, all the blood, sweat, and tears, was worthless hurt more than he could ever explain. He'd failed Jiraiya so badly that Hagoromo had to step in and send him to another timeline. Hell, he didn't even know when he was, only that he was within the land of fire right now. Was Jiraiya or his dad out there, fighting the second or third shinobi world war? Hell, was the hidden leaf even a thing yet, or was Hashirama and Madara out there fighting endlessly? Or had Madara and Hashirama built the hidden leaf already? So many questions ran through the blonde's mind. But instead of getting up and making his way to somewhere to find out, Naruto rolled over so he was on his back and started to cry his eyes out. All this was Sasuke's fault. He had tried so fucking hard, and for what? To have a Chidori shoved through his heart for the 4th damn time. He had tried so fucking hard, only to be betrayed by the man he thought had been his first friend. Looking down at his clothes, Naruto noticed that his jacket was gone, and the thin mesh armor he'd been wearing had a hole the size of a fist right over his heart. Without a word, Naruto ripped the mesh armor off, leaving him in nothing but his orange pants that looked more like torn-up shorts, and his shinobi sandals. Naruto wanted to yell and scream at the unfairness of it all, but he knew it wasn't truly Sasuke's fault, it was his. Shikamaru, Kiba, Shino, and even Sai had warned him to not trust Sasuke. He was, after all, a missing nin that was dead set on destroying the hidden leaf at the time, and what had Naruto done? Said only he had a right to stop Sasuke. Yet, he never planned to stop Sasuke in the same way the males of the Konoha 12 had wanted him to. No, Naruto had just planned to look past all the lives Sasuke had taken during the 5 Kage summit, such as the samurais, and all the lives he had attempted to take after just so he could make Sakura happy, and bring Sasuke home. Naruto knew it. He was a hypocrite. He had preached about peace and understanding, love and compassion, yet Sasuke was going around murdering people all thanks to Obito. And what did Naruto do? Ignored all the pain and hatred Sasuke had been causing, all in an attempt to make a girl that hit him regularly, and treated him like trash 90% of the time, happy. Yet Naruto, in that moment, found out something. He didn't hate Sakura for the promise she made him make all those years ago. Hell, he didn't hate Sasuke for betraying and killing him. No, he hated himself for being so blind when countless people such as Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shikamaru, Kiba, Shino, Yamato, and Sai had warned him about chasing Sasuke Uchiha around. Naruto had his own dreams at the time. To become Hokage, and make the village acknowledge him. Yet, as he said countless times before, how could someone who couldn't even save one friend become Hokage? Naruto wanted to laugh at that. It wasn't until they were reanimated that Hashirama was able to save Madara. But even then, by that point they were already returning to the Pure Lands, so in a way, Hashirama had never saved Madara. And his dad had never been able to save Obito. Hell, it was like Minato said, he had no idea the masked man was Obito until they saw each other again, during the 4th Great Shinobi War, and it wasn't Minato, but him, Naruto, that had saved Obito from his loneliness and despair. Then there was Suanda, who had been unable to save either her lover, or her brother. Hiruzen, who was unable to save Orochimaru from the path they walked, but yet they all became Hokage. Why? Because it wasn't about being selfish and saving your friends over saving the village. Hashirama had tried to kill Madara. Hiruzen had tried to kill Orochimaru. Minato had tried to kill Obito/Tobi. Hell, Tsunade had tried to kill Orochimaru herself, all for the sake of the village, and yet Naruto had never even attempted to kill Sasuke for the sake of the village. I get it now. It's not about saving one friend so you can become Hokage. It's about doing what's necessary for the sake of the village. Damn it! Damn it! Why? Bringing his fist up, Naruto brought it down, and created a small crater, as he screamed into the air. He didn't want to do it, but Naruto hated to admit he had been wrong. He should have killed Sasuke in the Valley of the End, instead of letting the Avenger kill him. Had he done so, he'd still be surrounded by his friends, where he'd be mourning the death of his one-time friend as the entire village tried their hardest to cheer him up. He'd begin his Hokage training, and over time learn to live with himself for killing Sasuke. Yet, he was here in a timeline he knew nothing about, curled up on the floor and crying to himself, all alone. And the worst part? He didn't have Kurama here to try and talk to. It was bullshit, and Naruto had never, ever, hated himself more than he did right now. Boom! 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 Get her! Don't let her get away! Kill the Uchiha bitch! Naruto's tear-filled eyes and head snapped to the left as he heard multiple shouts and explosions fill the air, while his ears perked up at the last name. Uchiha. That answered one question, that being he was at least in a time before Itachi killed the Uchiha clan. I want her head, damn it. Even though he was pissed, and reeling from the betrayal he felt at the hands of Sasuke, there was absolutely no way in hell Naruto was going to let some Uchiha girl he had never met before be killed by what sounded like a group of men. Sitting up, and placing his hands in his lap, Naruto quickly entered Sage Mode, then entered Six Paths Sage Mode. Thankful he still had that even if he didn't have his Nine Tails Chakra Mode to complement it. Being a Master Sage, it was only Naruto's eyes that changed, turning orange with a rectangle as his pupil. Entering Sage Mode, and wiping away the tears staining his face, Naruto frowned at what he saw. One girl, who was really low on chakra, was surrounded on all sides by men full of chakra. But since he had a sensing ability so great he could even sense people in other dimensions, Naruto could easily sense what these men were feeling being so close to them. Pure lust. Naruto glared in the direction of the men and rocketed into the air just as they made their advance on the chakra-depleted girl. It took only 10 seconds for Naruto to find, and visually confirm that what he was sensing was indeed true. A pale-skinned, raven-haired girl stood defiantly with her back against a tree. Her eyes were red, with 3 tomo in each eye, while she had a narrow jawline, and long, spiky black hair that fell to her waist. She was wearing black plated armor, much like what Naruto had seen Hashirama and Madara wear during the 4th Great Shinobi War, but the girl's armor was beaten up immensely. She had quite a few cuts covering the length of her body, with blood dripping to the ground, while in her hands was a sword pointed towards the men that had started to circle around her. Naruto noticed the young girl was probably 15 or 16 years old, or maybe the same age as him. Around her stood a group of men, all of varying ages, with the youngest being about their age, with the oldest appearing to be in his 40s or so. They, like the girl, also wore plated armor of various colors, mostly red, blue and gray, but each had the same emblem etched onto the neck plates and back plate that Naruto could swear he'd seen before, even if he couldn't place it. Naruto ignored all of that though, and landed on the ground without anyone seeing him. We got you now, little Uchiha. It's time to pay you back for all your clan's done to mine. The one to speak was the one who appeared to be the eldest amongst the group, who Naruto was going to assume was their leader. He was a nondescript man with short and spiky brown hair, a round face and wrinkles. Deciding to break up their fun, Naruto stepped from the tree line he was in and flared his chakra, which immediately caught the attention of the men surrounding the Uchiha girl, and the girl herself. While it would take a sensor to sense low levels of chakra, anyone could sense chakra at the amount Naruto had just flared. I don't know what you bastards think you're doing, but step away from the girl right now. With his sage mode activated, the men could see two orange-colored eyes with odd pupils glaring right at them. Sharing a look between themselves, a voice spoke up from the lineup of people. Stay out of this. This is between us and her. Interfere, and you will be considered an enemy to the Senju clan. Naruto's eyes widened at hearing the name as a few things clicked in place for him. The Uchiha were still alive, as were the Senju. Not only were they alive though, they weren't allies yet, meaning the hidden leaf had most likely not been built yet. That meant he was now living somewhere in the time frame of Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju, or during the time of Indra and Ashura Otsutsuki. Regardless of what time he was in, Naruto pushed those thoughts to the side and focused on the Senju man that had spoken. I don't give a damn. I'm not about to let you take advantage of that girl. I can feel the lust rolling off of each and every one of you. Senju, Uchiha, Hyuga, it doesn't matter. Try and touch that girl, and I'll end you. Naruto took a step forward, causing half of the Senju men to raise their swords and kunai and pointed at him, while the other half kept their eyes and weapons trained on the Uchiha girl that looked like she was ready to pass out. No worries, if he could touch her, Naruto could give her some chakra. Take one more step and we will attack, boy. Naruto stopped, his eyes scanning the crowd of Senju as he decided on the best course of action. He didn't want to kill these men, but at the same time, if this really was the warring clan era like he was suspecting, then there was no way these men would just lay down their weapons and let him and the Uchiha girl go. Not only that, Naruto could feel their eagerness and excitement mixing with their lust, which honestly pissed him off. He didn't even want to know if the men in front of him had done something like they were planning to do now, before. My name is not boy, it's Naruto Uzumaki, believe it? Bringing his hands up in a cross-shaped seal, Naruto created 2 clones for each man on the battlefield, that being 50 clones for the 25 men, then promptly froze at what he saw. All around him stood raven-haired, non-whisker mark having, with amethyst-colored eyes, clones. It was so much of a shock that Naruto felt his breath leave him as he realized both Obito's and his mom's souls had changed him, not just internally, but externally as well. He still had spiky hair, but it was more like Obito's as it was black. He still had a round face, with eyes the same shape as his mother's, but like his mom's they were an amethyst color, as none of his clones were in sage mode even though he was, so he could clearly see the changes in himself. Breaking him out of those thoughts was the voice of one of the Senju men trying to kill the Uchiha girl. Uzumaki? Then why are you trying to stop us? Our clans are allies? Naruto cursed himself, wishing he had paid more attention during his time at the academy, as he had totally forgotten that. Regardless, Naruto would always be Naruto Uzumaki, and he had no wish to live under another name, not even Namake's. Pushing those thoughts to the side, Naruto looked the Senju man in his eye and spoke. Because I don't give a damn if she's an Uchiha, an Uzumaki, or Hyuga, I won't let you have your way with her, you wannabe rapists. The Uchiha girl's eyes widened, as she seemed to realize just why the men surrounding her had seemed to keep eyeing her up and down while backed against the tree she was leaning against, and shivered in disgust. Now, I'll say this once more, you know. Leave. The Senju men shared a look with each other, then turned back towards Naruto with a determined look on their faces. Sighing, Naruto decided to just end all of this quickly, and use what Sakura would call shock and awe, as in, overwhelm the crap out of them and put them down before they could even realize what happened. Fine, your death wish, Bo-gh. Blood flew from the Senju team leader's mouth as Naruto covered the entirety of the field they were in the blink of an eye, and drove his fist into his stomach. The elder man was picked off of his feet, and launched so far into the forest that everyone lost sight of him. Naruto could still feel his chakra though, and immediately clenched his fist at what he felt. He had punched the man so hard that the man had passed out, flew deep into a forest where he hit a tree neck first and died. Taking a deep breath at the fact that he just killed a man, Naruto tried to tell himself to not worry about it. After all, had he killed Sasuke, none of this would be happening. But if he let that man go, then something like the situation they were in with the Uchiha girl could happen again. Your leader is dead. This is your last chance. Leave. Multiple eyes widened, including the girls, upon hearing that the Senju team leader was dead. One man even brought up his hands in a half-ram seal, and used his chakra to try and sense their team leader's chakra. What? You killed him in one shot? You bastard, that was my father. I'll kill you. Naruto sighed as the boy who looked to be just a few years older than him ran forward, sword held high in an attempt to cut Naruto's head from his shoulders. Being in six-path sage mode like he was, meant that the sword would shatter against his body, so Naruto stood there and let the man take a wild swing at his neck. As expected, the sword shattered into hundreds of pieces against Naruto's neck, which in turn caused many of the Senju to step back in fear. First, Naruto had killed their team leader in one punch. Now, a sword had shattered against his neck as he just stood there. Many of them shared a look between each other, unsure of what to do. Naruto sighed, hating the situation he was in more than anything. If he let these men leave alive, then they would return to the Senju and tell them everything, meaning he'd make an enemy of the Senju, and most likely Uzumaki, his very own family. But if he killed them all, Naruto may very well change the future. Shaking his head, Naruto steeled himself. That was exactly why he was here, to change the future that had happened, so it would not come to pass here. He could stop Madara from ever meeting Black Zetsu, and Obito from ever falling into Madara's hands by finding Black Zetsu and sealing it away. If need be, Naruto would use Kamui on Black Zetsu, and trap it within the Kamui dimension for all eternity, or find some that could share chakra with him. Open a portal to another dimension like Obito had done with Sakura's help, and trap Black Zetsu there. Water style. Rising water slicer. Seeing the water attack coming from one of the men made Naruto grin. He knew it would be best to hide some of his abilities, such as the Kamui, as he had already introduced himself as Naruto Uzumaki. But Naruto also wanted to test out his new powers against these men, which is exactly why, with a steady stream of chakra being sent to his eyes, Obito's three-bladed Manjikyu Sharingan activated and allowed the jutsu to pass right through him. Except, unlike Obito, who had red eyes with a black blade pattern, Naruto's eyes were red with an orange blade pattern, thanks to his sage mode. Grinning to himself, while profusely thanking Obito for such a move, Naruto looked up and grinned wide as disbelieving looks were passed around by the Senju clansmen, and the Uchiha girl backed against the tree. Unfortunately, none of these attempted rapists would be leaving this battlefield alive, but there was no doubt the Uchiha girl would spread rumors of an Uzumaki Uchiha running around, something that would hopefully make its way back to Black Zetsu, and draw him out. Uchiha? But you said your name was Uzumaki? Naruto shrugged carelessly, and raised his arm, which was a sign for his still unmoving clones. I did, because I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I just so happen to be a descendant of the Uchiha clan as well, you know. Watching as all of the shadow clones shot forth and started to quickly overwhelming the frazzled Senju clansmen, who had never seen such a jutsu before, Naruto turned his attention away from the ongoing fights, and started to make his way towards the young Uchiha girl. You're an Uchiha and an Uzumaki? And that's the Sharingan. I don't understand, why does it look that way? Who are you? Grinning to himself, Naruto jabbed a thumb in his direction and introduced himself. Like I said, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, you know. And yes, it's a Sharingan. Just, you know, an evolved form of it anyways. Here, bump fists with me. I think I can share my chakra with you. Mumbling to himself, the Uchiha girl managed to pick up. Seeing as I can still sense negative emotions, thanks Kurama, before he looked back towards her and smiled, obviously trying to calm her down. Bringing a hand up to her chest, the girl realized her heart was beating out of her chest from the fact that she was almost defiled like some common street whore before she was killed by the Senju clan. Seeing that Naruto was still waiting for her to bump fists with him, the Uchiha girl decided to place a minute amount of trust in the Uzumaki Uchiha. Bringing her fist up, the girl bumped fists with Naruto to feel what could only be described as a head high and adrenaline rush all in one. She felt powerful. All the tiredness she had felt from her earlier mission, as well as disgracefully running from the Senju for the last 50-some miles, just evaporated in a second, replaced by pure power. Grinning to herself, the younger Uchiha girl turned her attention back to her fellow half-clansman, Naruto, as that was how she saw him, and bowed slightly in thanks before speaking. I am Madara Uchiha, future head of the Uchiha clan. As my rescuer, and a fellow Uchiha, I must insist on you coming with me back to the Uchiha compound so you may be repaid for saving me. Looking up, Madara was not expecting Naruto's eyes to have gone wide, nor for his mouth to drop in shock. It was almost funny, watching his mouth open and close as he tried to find something to say. You're Madara? But you're a girl. Naruto couldn't help it, he reeled back in shock, with a finger pointed at the now glaring Madara, who crossed her arms over her rather flat chest, and huffed. Yes, I am a girl. Is that a problem? Naruto shook his head, his mind racing at the fact that Madara, in the timeline, was a girl. So that's the small change Super Sage Gramps was talking about. Did he have daughters in this timeline instead of sons? I need to find out more. What? No. I mean, I'm just surprised. I've heard of you before, but I thought you were a guy. Not that it's a problem or anything, but next you're going to be telling me Hashirama from the Senju clan is a girl too. Madara raised an eyebrow, surprised to hear the name Hashirama. Hashirama? You mean Ashira? Of course, that brown-haired, no good, backstabbing bimbo is a girl. Naruto couldn't help it, he snorted, which quickly turned into a light chuckle, before he was suddenly laughing to himself, bent over and holding his stomach. Madara raised an eyebrow, but took a step back from the now laughing raven-haired man. Ayashira? What kind of stupid name is that, you know? Madara grinned, her Sharingan eyes staring the raven-haired man down as she decided well, he was alright in her book, so far. It also helped that he was an Uchiha, even if he was partly a disgusting Uzumaki. Yes, it is a rather stupid name, is it not? She thinks she's so much better than me just because she can grow some stupid trees from the GRHUI. What are you doing? Madara flailed a bit as Naruto grabbed her while in the middle of her sentence, and jumped to the side as countless shurikens started to rain down on the spot Naruto had just been standing in, landing on the ground, and setting Madara down. Naruto turned to see over 50 men, all dressed in black-plated armor staring him and Madara down. Seeing this, Naruto brought his hands up and was about to create a whole army of clones, but was stopped as Madara grabbed his arm and walked forward. Wait, these are my Uchiha clansmen. While most of the men kept their swords and kunai locked on Naruto, a man with long black hair, tied up into a ponytail framing a rather gaunt-looking face stepped forward. He, like the rest of the Uchiha clansmen, was wearing dark-plated armor, and had his Sharingan locked solely on Naruto. You! Step away from my daughter, or be prepared to face the full might of the Uchiha clan. Naruto did exactly that, and comically took 2 steps to the left of Madara, who glared at Taijima Uchiha, head of the Uchiha clan. Grabbing Naruto by his arm, Madara started to pull the Noirette, rather roughly, with her towards the Uchiha clansmen lined up in front of them, about 20 feet away. Father, wait! This is Naruto Uchiha, he saved me from those Senju dogs that had set an ambush for me. I would be dead, thanks to chakra exhaustion, if not for him. Naruto frowned, his Manjiki Sharingan devolving back to his amethyst-colored eyes as he looked at Madara for a second, then turned towards her father and spoke. Actually, it's Naruto Uzumaki. I might be a descendant of the Uchiha, but I'm more closely related to the Uzumaki. Racking his brain for the best way to explain. Naruto found an explanation that worked for him. It just involved using Obito as his grandfather, as there was no way in hell he would call Obito his dad, even if it was a lie. My mom was an Uzumaki, but my grandfather Obito was a full-blooded Uchiha. Still though, I would prefer Uzumaki. At his side, Naruto could see Madara frowning at the correction he made, but could care less. He was Naruto Uzumaki, and always would be. Stepping forward, Taijima looked around the field they were in and noticed the bodies of multiple Senju laying face up and down, completely dead. Frowning to himself, Taijima turned his attention back to Naruto and spoke, a slight edge in his voice. An Uzumaki, and Uchiha? You protected my daughter, why? As an Uzumaki, you should have joined your Senju allies? Naruto glared at Taijima, shaking his head at the audacity of the man to think he'd ever do such a thing, because there were almost 30 people, against 1 girl. Of course I'd step in. Besides, I might be an Uzumaki but I live and travel alone. I have no true ties to my clan. Hell, I've only ever met 1 other Uzumaki my entire life, and that was my cousin Karen. And even then, we weren't exactly friendly to each other. Walking forward and getting within 5 feet of Taijima Uchiha, Naruto decided it was best to show a little respect, and bowed just low enough in greeting, but not too low as to make it seem like he was prostrating himself before the Uchiha. Waving his hand, Taijima and the rest of the Uchiha men and women started to put their weapons away, seeing no true threat coming from the Noirette. Instead, Taijima dipped his head just slightly then spoke. You're a hermit then? Well, you have my thanks. Anyone willing to fight the Senju, and protect my daughter, has my thanks. I assume you seek a reward for saving my heir? Surprising not only Taijima, but everyone surrounding them, Naruto shook his head in the negative. No, I don't. I didn't save her seeking a reward. Madara being alive and well is enough of a reward for me. Those bastards, they weren't planning to kill her, at least not right away. I would never allow that to happen to anyone. Taijima's eyes narrowed in anger, as he cast a look towards the slain Senju men. He understood perfectly what Naruto was trying to imply. Opening his mouth to speak, Taijima was cut off by his daughter. Father, you should have seen it. Naruto-san is quite impressive. He took them all on by himself, using some type of clone jutsu that allowed the clones to attack as well. Not only that, he killed Subai Senju in 1 shot. I could hardly believe it with my own eyes, but when one of those mad dogs tried to cut his head off, Naruto stood there, and the sword broke against his neck. It was a rather amazing feat, father. He even phased through a jutsu, if that's even what he actually did. Taijima raised both eyebrows this time, and turned to Madara, noticing that she almost seemed to be gushing about her savior. Ignoring that, Taijima turned back towards Naruto and noticed he seemed quite flustered at the praise he was receiving, due to the fact that Naruto was sheepishly rubbing the back of his head. It was nothing. They weren't that strong anyways. Besides, I'm sure you could have handled them yourselves if you weren't so tired. You were almost on the edge of chakra exhaustion when I found you. Brushing off the praise, Naruto tried to ignore the rather awestruck look Madara was giving him. It was definitely weird to have someone who Naruto knew as a man in one timeline, now a woman, looking at him as if he was a piece of meat to be observed. Yes, and thanks to you my chakra has been completely restored. How did you do that anyways? I've never heard of an ability to give someone chakra, nor have I seen those solid clones you used. And the sword? Was that some type of earth-style jutsu that hardened your skin? I had my Sharingan active for all of it, so I think I can manage the clones, but the other stuff, I don't even understand what I saw. Turning towards Madara with the most serious look he could pin the girl with, Naruto spoke. Be careful using the shadow clone jutsu. It takes a lot of chakra, as I'm sure you saw. Unless your reserves are the size of 3 average adults, you'll die from chakra exhaustion by just creating a single clone. The only reason I can make as many as I did is because I'm an Uzumaki, so I have rather large chakra reserves. Knowing there was no use in crying over spilt milk, the spilt milk being Madara copying his shadow clone jutsu, Naruto instead gave her a warning, which shocked not only her, but those around her at hearing how much chakra needed to be used to create just one clone. As for the other stuff, no. I'm a sage, which is why my eyes were a light orange. It's why the sword broke against my skin, and why I can transfer chakra to others. Not giving Madara a chance to speak, Taijima spoke up in shock. Not only had this unknown boy saved his daughter, but he had jutsu that none of the Uchiha had ever seen before, and was a sage. Taijima had read the legends of sages, and knew very well how important such an aspect could be to the clan. You're a sage truly? Of what clan? The crows? Toads? Snakes? Naruto shook his head, and decided to go with the safest answer, in his mind. Naruto smiled, and opened his mouth to answer, then froze as he realized something. He was in a different timeline, and dead to his world. That most likely meant his name had been removed from the summoning scroll of the toads, which would not allow him to summon any more toads to fight in battle with him. Sighing sadly to himself, Naruto pushed that thought away while vowing to somehow resign the toad contract as soon as he could. Thinking of the best lie he could on the spot, Naruto spoke. None. I don't have a summoning contract, but senjutsu was taught to me by a toad I managed to come across in my travels named Gamakichi. I saved his life, so in return he taught me senjutsu. I was unable to sign the summoning contract though, as he didn't have the right to let others sign. Squirming as it wasn't just Madara observing him as if he was a piece of meat, but almost all the Uchiha surrounding him, Naruto tried to give an easy smile. Well, I'm glad I was able to save your daughter, but I gotta go. I need to find lodging for the night and all that, so if you'll excuse me, I'll be on my way. Bowing his head slightly, Naruto tried again to turn on his heel and walk away, but a soft grabbed his arm, stopping him from doing so. Absolutely not. You will be coming with us. You saved my life from those Senju dogs, so you will be rewarded with a place to sleep, and a warm meal to fill your stomach. I must insist. Not only that, you're an Uchiha, if only partly, but an Uchiha nonetheless. Your place is with us, not traveling around like some hermit. Naruto nervously scratched the back of his head, not sure on how to feel with Madara practically demanding that he, an Uzumaki / now known Uchiha, just walk into the Uchiha compound, surrounded on all sides by Uchiha. The pain and anguish he felt from the betrayal of Sasuke was still very much real, and being surrounded by so many Uchiha was definitely going to twist the kunai in his gut even more. However, seeing the glare that was trying to say I will not accept a no coming from Madara made him rethink it. After all, if this really was Madara, whom Black Zetsu would undoubtedly try to manipulate into becoming what Naruto knew the male Madara to be, then sticking close to her would be for the best. Trying to weigh the pros and cons of such a thing, Naruto was about to speak up when Taijima beat him to it. I must agree with my daughter, Uzumaki-san. Naruto tried his best, but couldn't stop the snort that came out after seeing the disgust on Taijima's name at having to use Uzumaki for someone he no doubt saw as an Uchiha, and nothing more. As an Uchiha, your place is with us. Not only that, but looking him up and down, Taijima noted the fact that Naruto was wearing a weird headband of some type, cut-up orange shorts and shinobi sandals. You could use some fresh clothes that best represent an elite of our clan. Should you agree, a full set of armor will be given to you as thanks for saving the clan's heir. Sighing, Naruto nodded his head as he saw no way out of this, without offending the Uchiha clan. And, it was like he thought, he could stick close to Madara and wait for Black Zetsu to make its move. Okay, I can do that, but, knowing you guys, the armor will have the Uchiha paper fan on it. I'll only accept it if you add the Uzumaki swirl as well. You might not like it, but I'm an Uzumaki first, then an Uchiha. Frowning to himself, Taijima nodded, knowing he couldn't let one as powerful as Naruto slip away from him. If all he had to do was add a stupid swirl to some armor to get Naruto to embrace his Uchiha heritage, then he'd do it. Naruto though, he couldn't help but notice Madara grin widely, her eyes zeroing in on Naruto as multiple thoughts ran through her mind. There was no question he was powerful. After all, he had single-handedly taken down multiple squads of Senju, had a sword shatter against his skin, and could become a one-man army. And he did all of that without wearing any armor, or even getting injured. If there was one thing Madara respected most in the world, it was power, and Naruto had that. Hell, as much as it pained her to admit it, she wasn't sure she could beat him, and already at the age of 16 she was amongst the most powerful of her clan. I demand you fight me before you leave. I wish to test myself against you, to see where I stand against one who can single-handedly kill Sabai Senju. What do you say? Sighing, Naruto nodded his head, knowing Madara would not take no for an answer. If she was anything like Sasuke, then she'd somehow trick him into a fight anyways, However, there was a question Naruto wanted answered. You keep mentioning that guy, Sabai. Was he really that strong? I mean, I killed him in one blow? Didn't seem that powerful to me. All around him, Naruto could hear the Uchiha men and women whispering to themselves. Most of the whispers sounded a lot like how strong is this guy, and I can't believe it. Sabai is really dead. With the way they were making it sound, it was as if they had been trying for a long-ass time to kill the guy, with little success. Come, we shall talk as we head back to the Uchiha clan compound. Right now, we are still within Senju territory. Nodding, Naruto jumped into the trees and set off with the Uchiha clan leader, his heir, and his fellow clansmen. But to answer your question, yes? We've been trying for a long time, with very little success to eliminate Sabai Senju. He was one of the Senju clan's top shinobi, who led various raids and headed many missions against the Uchiha clan. To know you have killed him is a great relief to the Uchiha clan. The Senju will be weakened by his death. Frowning, Naruto took a deep breath and let it out slowly. As much as he hated it even more that he felt okay over the man's death. Had he not done what he did, then Sabai and his subordinates would have very likely lived on, and in anger against the Uchiha and not getting Madara, done it to someone else. Pushing those thoughts to the side, Naruto turned to the left as Madara landed right next to him, and spoke. So, why have we never heard of you until now? Surely someone as strong as you would be rather famous across the elemental nations. Naruto frowned, his mind racing with an acceptable answer to give Madara, and those that were listening. Have you ever heard of the continent to the east of ours? Madara shook her head, not having known there was another continent out there, so Naruto explained. To the east of here is a continent that stays isolated from the rest of the world. They don't use chakra there, instead they use something else that comes from this thing called the Stone of Jello. I lived over there as a mercenary for some time, and traveled with a man named Temujin. But I was too strong for the people there. Every fight I was in, every battle I fought in was always one-sided, and it was boring. So I traveled back to the elemental nations. I have brought this headband as a reminder of the lands I once lived in. There were shared looks of surprise cast around, as no one knew about any other continent than their own. But to hear of a continent that had no chakra was an even bigger surprise. Amazing. To think there were more lands out there than just our own. What does the headband mean though? It has a rather odd symbol on it. Smiling to himself, Naruto brought a hand up and touched the headband given to him by Iruka. It was rather easy to pass it off as something he had gained over on Temujin's continent. Deciding to just stick with the lie of Temujin's continent, Naruto decided to mix in a little bit of his history, with the lands he had once been to once in his past timeline. After all, there was no way anyone would be able to call him out on his lie, when they had never heard of the place until now. The people on the other continent don't live in a clan world, so to speak. Multiple clans from all over the lands had unified at one point, and built cities called shadowed villages. Each village had its own headband, to help others identify one's loyalties. I fought for a village called the Shadow Tree. Naruto tried his best to not snort, but knowing it was Madara him/herself who came up with the Hidden Leaf name, made him rename it to something else. After all, he still wanted the hidden villages to be a thing, and for the Hidden Leaf to be just that, the Hidden Leaf. When I became a mercenary for the Shadow Tree, I was given this headband as proof of my loyalty, though you could say I'm now known as Missing Merc in those lands. I grew tired of always being the strongest around, abandoned my village and sailed back to my homelands, the elemental nations. All around him, Naruto could see every Uchiha sizing him up, most likely trying to discern just how powerful he was. Sighing to himself, Naruto just knew it would be more just Madara challenging him to a fight. That's extraordinary, but I have a question. Seeing that Naruto had turned towards her and was paying attention, Madara asked the question that had been bugging her. Your Sharingan, you said it was an evolved form of the Sharingan, right? How did you manage that? Oddly, Madara noticed her father almost trip over his own feet as turned towards Naruto in disbelieving shock. I'm sorry, an evolved form of the Sharingan? Show me, right this instance. Naruto sighed, seriously regretting the fact that he'd allowed Madara to see his Manjikyu, but he had really wanted to try it out. Turning towards Taijima, Naruto allowed Obito's Manjikyu to spring to life. Red eyes with 3 blades bent in a circle so the tips were touching just where the thickest part started to bend. Chuckling nervously, Naruto scratched his face as Taijima stared at him in utter shock. That aside did not believe the clan texts, but it actually exists? How did you manage to achieve the Manjikyu? Frowning to himself, Naruto's brain raced as he tried to figure out the consequences of telling Taijima how to unlock the Manjikyu. After all, from the way he was talking, it made it seem as if no one had the Manjikyu. Praying silently, Naruto was hoping he didn't just screw up tremendously. Senjutsu internally grinning to himself, and deciding to stick with Sage Mode as a safe answer, Naruto turned his attention forward as he bounded across the trees. I learned Senjutsu, and the first time I activated my Sharingan alongside using Senjutsu caused me immense pain, and a change in my eyes. Taijima frowned, his black eyes narrowing at Naruto, who tried to keep the straightest face he possibly could. Relenting, Taijima turned his attention forward as he knew, even if Naruto was lying, he couldn't get a straight answer out of him. That is rather extraordinary. After watching you fight, I must admit you are rather strong, Naruto-san. Puffing her chest out in pride, Madara spoke with the smugness practically radiating off of her. Though I understand your dilemma of being the strongest around, even now I am amongst the most powerful in my clan. It is very rare that I find a good challenge for myself these days. Most are either too scared to fight me for my prowess, or too scared to fight me as I am the heir to the Uchiha clan. Naruto smirked, and shook his head. Yeah, just like Sasuke, Madara was already boasting about how great she was. If you're so strong, Madara-chan, how come you look like those senju put you through the ringer? Naruto had to admit, watching Madara's face turn red, either in anger or embarrassment, or both, was funny as hell. Fixing him with a glare, Madara spoke through gritted teeth. It is Madara-sama to you, you plebeian. I am the future head of our clan, know your place. And to answer your question, they did no such thing. But even the strongest can get caught in an ambush, and die, if it was planned out specifically for that person. They merely managed to catch me after I was returning from a mission for my clan, and I was tired. Had I been at full strength I would have slaughtered those senju dogs, easily. Naruto nodded but gave the girl a smirk that said I don't believe you, further angering the girl who wished to wipe the stupid smirk off of his face. Right, what about that Ashira chick? I heard she was pretty powerful as well, you know. Madara fixed Naruto with a glare, but Naruto laughed at the look, and shrugged it off. She is merely an annoyance, like a little fly you cannot swat away. Should I face her in battle again, I will wipe that stupid grin off her face, once and for all. Madara could see it in his face, that Naruto either didn't believe her, or didn't care. Frowning to herself, Madara glared at the blonde-haired man and huffed. Fine then, she'd just have to fight him and show him who the strongest really was around here, and that was her, Madara Uchiha. Not some stupid-looking Uzumaki boy. So what if he killed Sub-II Senju in one shot? It was obviously luck mixed with the fact he was an Uchiha. However, she was a full-blooded Uchiha, which meant, obviously, she would wipe the floor with Naruto is what she kept telling herself, completely disregarding what had happened minutes ago with the Senju that Naruto thoroughly stumped. Heh, I like a good challenge. Using a finger to scratch under his nose, Naruto couldn't help but grin at the prospect of fighting a much younger Madara Uchiha, not the 10-tails Jinchuriki Madara Uchiha. So we'll just have to see who the better shinobi is in a spar, won't we? Catching Naruto's eyes with her own, Madara glared in acceptance, ready to put the Uzumaki in his place, and show him why she, Madara Uchiha, was the best Uchiha around. I must admit, Uzumaki-san, I am rather keen on testing myself against you as well. To take out so many senju without even breaking a sweat, or getting hurt, is a feat I dare say almost none could manage. How about a spar between you, and our clan's strongest before you leave? Naruto turned to Taijima, and noticed the look of greed on his face. No doubt the man wished to push Naruto into revealing secrets that they, the Uchiha, could copy and use in their fight against the senju. However, at the prospect of fighting so many strong opponents, Naruto felt himself grow excited. Sounds fun. But just Naruto is fine, I don't care for honorifics, old man. Taijima felt his eyebrow twitch at being called an old man, but stopped himself from saying anything. If Naruto was as powerful as Madara was making him out to be, with the ability to phase through attacks, then Naruto could easily afford to go around calling people by whatever name he wishes. That still didn't stop a few of the Uchiha following them to glare at the back of Naruto's head, while Madara snorted and looked away, not wishing her father to see her struggling to not laugh at him being called an old man. Right, Uzumaki-san? If you have just returned to the elemental nations, surely you have plans you wish to enact? Naruto raised an eyebrow, and turned so he could see Taijima to his right side. Naruto could tell from the tone of voice, that there was more to the question than what was being asked, but for the life of him, Naruto could not tell what it was. Kakashi-sensei always talked about seeing underneath the underneath, but he could not see underneath the question being asked. Still though, Naruto answered, you could say that. Really, I'm just looking for a place I belong, but there's also someone I'm searching for. His name is Zetsu. Naruto glared ahead, all the anger and hatred he had ever felt for Sasuke, Pain, Obito, and the male Madara had combined into one combined hatred that Naruto felt for Black Zetsu. That thing had manipulated shinobi history for 2,000 years, not caring for the lives that were wasted, all in an attempt to revive his mother Kagaya. Naruto wouldn't tell the Uchiha clan of Zetsu completely, just some knowledge, but he would give Madara, a warning to not trust the damned will of Kagaya. I am hazarding a guess here, and saying this is not to merely reunite with this Zetsu person? Taijima asked, curious about the sudden bit of anger and hatred that washed over the rather easygoing blonde. No, it won't be a happy reunion, that's for sure. Zetsu is the main reason my parents are dead, the reason I had to fight so many different people growing up that it's actually amazing I'm still alive. It was because of him I was forced to leave the elemental nations for a bit, to grow stronger thinking about it. Naruto concluded that everything that had happened in his life was indirectly caused by Black Zetsu's manipulations one way or another. Hell, even Sasuke, who was manipulated by Obito, who in turn was manipulated by Madara, who in turn was manipulated by Black Zetsu, was Black Zetsu's fault. Now Naruto was dead in the eyes of his world, and stuck in this new timeline trying to right the wrongs of the past again, which was Zetsu's fault. Now that I have grown as strong as I have, I've come back to kill him. Tajime and Madara shared a look, surprised at the sheer loathing in Naruto's voice, and made a mental note to keep a watch out for this Setsu person. If he was as bad as Naruto was making him out to be, well, I'm sure one as strong such as yourself will have no problem searching this man down. Shaking his head, Naruto frowned and looked up at the blue sky full of clouds as he passed by. That's the thing, not to hype myself up too much, but I'd wager I'm currently the best sensor in the elemental nations right now, and even now I cannot sense him. Not only that, Setsu isn't a fighter, but a manipulator and a runner. At the first sign of danger, he'll use some unknown jutsu to suck himself into the ground and run that, and he's immortal. Looks of shock were shared amongst the Uchiha men and women upon hearing that such a thing as an immortal existed. If he thinks for even a second that I have a chance of killing him, and ending his years upon years of schemes and manipulations, he'll just disappear until I'm dead, then return to doing what he does best. A word of advice, old man Taijima, Madara-chan, if you ever come across this man, Setsu, do not trust a single word he says. I wish I could tell you what he looks like, but even I do not know. Naruto wanted to tell them he looked like a black glob of goo with a demonic grin, but he wasn't sure if they'd believe him. He's really vain, and always uses his name, but I've never actually seen him. I just know he exists, and that he's the reason everyone I cared about and loved is dead. Seeing the absolute seriousness on Naruto's face, Taijima nodded while Madara huffed, and fixed the Moiret with a glare. It's Madara-sama. Madara-sama. Madara-sama, you proletarian fool. Naruto raised a questioning eyebrow, and turned towards her, confusion evident on his face. What? Besides, I'm your elder. Here, Naruto fixed her with a foxy grin, then spoke. So it's Naruto-sama. Naruto-sama, as if the great Madara-sama, future head of the elite clan of the Uchiha, would ever call you Naruto-sama. And I'm 16. How old are you? Turning towards Taijima, who had both eyebrows raised as he watched the back and forth between his daughter and Naruto, Naruto asked the question that had been bugging him. What's the date? It's not October 10th, is it? In his timeline, that's exactly what it had been when he died. Born on the 10th, and killed on the 10th. And as stupid as it might sound, Naruto couldn't help but consider today his rebirthday. Then I'm older. I turned 17 today. So I'm your elder, the great Naruto-sama. Madara clenched her fists, her arms shaking in anger as she realized the man that had single-handedly taken down a whole squad of Senju, and seemed so powerful, was only a year older than her. I'll die before I ever call you Naruto-sama. I am the great Madara-sama, feared across the lands as the greatest shinobi to ever live. Though you might carry Uchiha blood within you, I am a full-blooded Uchiha. So it's only natural I am your better, you fool. Looking at Naruto, Madara could see him mouthing blah blah blah, Uchiha, blah blah blah, I'm so great, and punched him in his shoulder, only to wince as it felt like punching a brick wall without the use of chakra to reinforce her body. Before she could say anything else, they all exited from the trees, and landed in front of the gates of Soraku, the home of the Uchiha. Naruto raised an eyebrow, watching as multiple Uchiha appeared from nowhere, and were quick to bow in front of Taijima just as the Uchiha men and women that had been with Taijima broke off, and started to make their way into the village. Naruto decided it was best to stick close to Madara and Taijima, and stood behind them a few feet away, that is until Madara turned to him, and glared at him with a look that promised death. Walking up to him, Madara roughly grabbed Naruto's arm and pulled him forward and made the blonde stand next to her, not behind her. There was, after all, nothing Madara hated more than when someone stood behind her. Do not stand behind me. Raising an eyebrow, and looking down on the girl who only came up to his chin, Naruto merely nodded, but said nothing. He could tell it was a sore spot for the girl after all. Naruto looked forward, surprised to see so many Uchiha, even if he knew he shouldn't. Not being able to stop himself, Naruto smiled sadly as he knew Sasuke would have loved to see this. As much as it pained him to think of the man that killed him, Naruto was positive it was something he'd never be able to not do. Sasuke had been the first person his age to accept him after all, and now he was surrounded by his clan, so there was no way Naruto wouldn't be able to think of him. Watching as quite a few people came forth, most likely to see if their future clan head was alright, Naruto was surprised when a young boyish voice broke through the air. Dara-ni! Naruto jumped slightly and watched as a young boy, probably around the age of 12, that made Naruto's breath catch in his throat from the resemblance to Sasuke, came running from out the crowd of Uchiha surrounding them, and tackled the Ravenet to the ground. Unfortunately, Madara had reached out and tried to grab the closest thing she could to stop her from falling, which just so happened to be Naruto, which resulted in Madara being tackled to the ground, while Naruto was yanked down rather unceremoniously with a yelp. All eyes in the vicinity turned towards Naruto, and upon seeing an unfamiliar face some brows were raised in question, though no one said a thing as Taijima, their clan leader, said nothing. Instead they simply stared the boy down, and sized him up. Most, if not all, weren't impressed with what they saw, merely seeing what looked to be a hermit with very little on him. Get off! While Madara was beyond ecstatic to see her little brother Izuna, she was not happy being tackled to the ground. But while her voice carried a promise of pain, everyone around the two siblings could see just how happy Madara was to see her little brother again. "Ne-sama, you're back. How was your mission? I heard you were in trouble. Did you kill any of those Senju bastards?" Hey, who's this guy and why are you holding his arm? He's not your boyfriend, is he? Hearing such a claim, and realizing she was indeed still holding onto the shirtless Naruto's arm, Madara was quick to let go, push her sister off of her, and shoot to her feet while huffing and crossing her arms, though it was very obvious to everyone surrounding Madara that she was trying her best to not blush nor cast a look in Naruto's direction. As if. He saved my life, and I am repaying my debt, that is all. The Senju dog set an ambush for me, and would have most likely killed me had it not been for Naruto-san here. Izuna's eyes shot towards Naruto, shining with admiration at hearing he'd saved his sister, and killed some of the Senju dogs in the process. You saved my sister? Then you have my thanks, Naruto-san. Bowing slowly, Izuna looked up to see Naruto smiling happily, a feeling that set the boy at ease. It was no problem, Chibi-kun. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. What's your name? At the mention of Uzumaki, every person in the vicinity felt their eyes widen, before they snapped their attention to Taijima, silently asking the man what the hell an Uzumaki was doing in their home. Seeing it, Taijima turned towards Madara and spoke. Madara, as it was you he saved, Naruto-san is yours to watch while he is within our clan's walls. Show him to an empty apartment he can use so he may shower. Afterwards, show him to the clan armory and allow him to pick out a set of clan armor. Nemura-san can embellish an Uzumaki swirl on it. If Uzumaki-san must absolutely have it, Naruto nodded quickly, showing that he indeed did want his clan's swirl on it. Before dinner, I shall hold a meeting with the clan elders and the rest of the clan to announce just why we have an Uzumaki in our presence. Got it? When you're done with everything, bring Naruto-san with you and join the clan for dinner at the town hall. Knowing she couldn't refute, Madara nodded and grabbed Naruto's arm as she started to roughly pull him into the clan's village. Hey, I can walk perfectly fine on my own, you know. Naruto was, of course, ignored as Madara practically dragged him into Soraku while everyone watched them go, with Izuna hot on their heels. Come, we have much to do in very little time, Naruto-san. Resigning himself to the fact that Madara was just going to drag him around, Naruto turned towards Izuna and observed the young boy. It was gut-wrenching to see someone that looked so much like Sasuke, same pale skin, with spiky hair and an obvious love for their elder sibling. He tried not to, but Naruto couldn't help but tear up a little bit, something that was noticed by Izuna. Are you okay, Uzumaki-san? Why are you crying? Smiling down to Izuna, and using his free arm to wipe away some of the tears, Naruto tried to think of an answer to give the little boy, and Madara who had looked back towards him. It's just I guess you could say you look a lot like my brother, because that's what Sasuke had been. Spiritually they were reincarnated brothers, and emotionally they had been best friends and practically brothers. The wound is still fresh, you know. It's just crazy to see someone look so much like Sasuke did when he was about your age. Madara bit her lip, noticing the broken tone of voice, and opened her mouth to speak only to stop herself, as it was obvious what the tone implied. However, Izuna didn't understand and asked the question Madara was about to. You have a brother? Is he back at Yazushio, Naruto-san? Naruto's eyes widened, as he had completely forgotten the Uzumaki had their own island they lived on. Vowing to himself to visit it, no matter what, Naruto pushed that thought aside, and spoke to Izuna, while completely deflecting his question. Chibi-kun, promise me something? Getting a curious look, and nod from Izuna had Naruto continuing. Cherish your sister, and the time you spend with her. You never know what might happen in this world. Sometimes you two might fight and say you hate each other. Other times you'll get along and love each other more than you usually do but never stop cherishing her, okay? While Izuna was confused, but agreed anyways, Madara looked ahead and looked down sadly. Hearing such raw pain in Naruto's voice was enough to make the girl cherish her brother immensely. She had, after all, already lost 3 other siblings that never had the chance to grow up. Madara-chan, you mind letting go of my arm? I can walk perfectly fine on my own and everyone's staring. Glaring at him, Madara opened her mouth to speak, then shut it as she realized something. You're doing that on purpose, aren't you? Well, you won't get a rise out of me this time, you buffoon. It's like dealing with a second Ashira all over again. Yanking on his arm, almost making Naruto trip over his feet, and forcing him to fall in line with her, Madara let go and glared at him, embarrassed that he kept calling her Madara-chan. Doing what? Calling you Madara-chan? I do that with all my friends, why wouldn't I do it for you too? It was here that Madara almost tripped over her own feet, and turned towards Naruto with an incredulous look. Friends? Us? You think we're friends? Naruto raised an eyebrow, almost as if he couldn't believe that they weren't friends. Unlike Sasuke, somehow Madara was just so much easier to deal with. She had that same arrogant pride at being an Uchiha that Sasuke had, but at the same time she was much more mellow, in a way. And talkative. Well, yeah? I don't see why not. We're not enemies, and your dad's really helping me out by giving me food and armor. Naruto trailed off, realizing he had the power to just make a set of armor or clothes appear as he still had the ability creation of all things, but still Naruto really appreciated the gesture. That's because you fought the Senju, and saved me. This is merely a reward for your actions. And though you refuse to accept the Uchiha name Uzumaki, you're still one of us. It would be an affront to this clan to allow you to walk around as you are now. Izuna's eyes widened, and shot to Naruto as he heard what his sister said. Wait, you're an Uchiha, Naruto-san? I thought you said your name was Naruto Uzumaki? Naruto smiled, and reached out to pat the younger boy in his head. I'm both, just more an Uzumaki than an Uchiha. Not only that, but I grew up as Naruto Uzumaki, not Naruto Uchiha, so I stick with the name I know. Don't let the name fool you though. Naruto couldn't help it, he turned towards Madara and gave her a challenging smirk. I'm still the elite of the elite. I'd wager I'm the strongest in the clan. I'll be facing your sister in a spar tomorrow, as well as your dad, and I'm guessing quite a few members of the clan, so I can prove my Uchiha superiority. Freezing, Madara turned towards Naruto with a look that promised pain for even suggesting such a thing. You cretin! As if you could best me in battle, let alone my father. That is the head of the clan, and future head of the clan you're talking about. We're both the elites of the elites of the elites. As if you even stand a chance against us. Don't get cocky just because you got lucky and managed to catch Subai Senju off guard. I will be prepared for you, and beat you so thoroughly you'll know your place. Crossing his arms over his chest, Naruto sent the younger Madara a challenging grin. Ha, good luck Dara-chan. I'm a lot stronger than you realize, so I have nothing to fear. Growling to herself, Madara angrily stomped along and muttered something about stupid blockheads not knowing their place, which caused Naruto to share a grin with Izuna, who seemed to be enjoying the conversation between his sister and Naruto. We will see, Uzumaki. But when I beat you tomorrow, you will acknowledge me as your superior. Oh? Is that a challenge? Fine, but when I win you have to call me Naruto-sama and acknowledge that I am better than you. Madara stopped, and turned around with a glare, her Sharingan activating as she looked up to the taller quarter Uchiha. As if I would ever acknowledge a blockhead buffoon such as yourself. Crossing her arms over her chest, Madara glared a promise of death in Naruto's direction. Naruto however just grinned even wider, completely unfazed by Madara's threats and glare. Well, if you're scared, I can't blame you, Dara-chan. After all, you did see me fight all those Senju using just my clones. Madara froze, her fingers digging into her arms as she couldn't believe that someone was calling her scared. Oh, he's going to get it. When I beat him, it will be such a clean sweep that not even father will see such a one-sided battle coming. Fine. I accept your challenge, merely because I am positive I will beat you. I am an Uchiha, the elite of the elite, and future head of this clan. You may be strong, but I am more powerful. I only needed your help today because I was tired, and foolishly walked into an ambush. A mistake I will never make again. You're on, and do not call me that. It is Madara-sama. Flashing him one last glare, Madara turned on her heel and set off towards one of the empty apartments for Naruto to use, completely missing the playful grin shared between Naruto and Izuma, who both either loved to, or were starting to love, teasing Madara to the point of her getting angry. Staying silent, Naruto followed Madara deep into Uchiha territory and looked over the village Soraku. Naruto had to admit, the place was beautiful, and had a little bit of a hidden leaf feel to it. The only differences were the fact that everyone here was an Uchiha. As far as Naruto could tell, there was no Hokage monument in the backdrop of the village. And finally the paper fan of the Uchiha clan was plastered on everything. Seriously, every 5 feet and there was a paper fan on the walkway, on the buildings, hell even on bags of trash. Though it fell silent as they walked, with Naruto at Madara's side while Izuna was at his side, staring up at the elder Uzumaki/Uchiha but too nervous to actually ask him anything as they walked. It was a few minutes later that the three came upon an apartment complex Naruto would be sleeping in, which was a 5-story building with a clothing store on the bottom. Following Madara into the store, Naruto raised his eyebrow in curiosity but said nothing as the Ravenet started to talk to the store manager, while pointing a finger over her back towards him. Naruto noticed something, like a set of keys, were handed off from the old woman to Madara. Naruto-san, come. She will outfit you in a simple set of clothing and underarmor to wear under the clan armor you're being given. Scratching his head, Naruto looked around the store and frowned. He wasn't sure why, but he had expected to see at least a little bit of orange. However, it was not to be as everything in the store was either blue or black. Deciding to just accept the gift being given to him, and to make himself some orange clothes later, Naruto came forth and introduced himself to the surprisingly smiling store owner. Hello, Bachan. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Surprisingly, the woman didn't so much as bat an eyelash at hearing the last name Uzumaki, grabbed him by the arm, and started to pull him into the back. Wanting to laugh at the fact that Uchiha woman seemed to love grabbing his arm and pulling him around, Naruto fell silent as the woman started to file through clothes, trying to find him an outfit. It was a few minutes later, and some random glances at Naruto's body, that the elder woman pulled out a pair of black cargo pants, and a white long-sleeved t-shirt with a black collar on it that, of course, had the Uchiha paper fan on the back of the shirt. That wasn't all though, as there was also a thin mesh undershirt and a pair of thin mesh underpants that would protect Naruto from kunai, shuriken and swords. Handing it to him, the woman grabbed him by the arm and started to pull him back to the front of the store, where Madara and Izuna stood, waiting for him. Thank you, Kurinabakan. Please bill the clothes to the main house, and they will be paid for in full. Bowing just slightly, Madara turned on her heel and started to walk away with Izuna and Naruto quickly following her out of the store, and around the building which led to a flight of stairs. Silently falling in line Naruto, Madara and Izuna quickly climbed the set up to the 4th floor, and found their way to room 4C. Walking inside, Naruto noticed it was a nice apartment, a lot better than the one he grew up in, and was fully furnished with a couch, a dining table, and an Uchiha banner hanging from the wall. That was it. Naruto sighed. Reality TVs hadn't been invented just yet. Great, no more movie nights with his clones, debating about characters and various plots of shitty movies. Ignoring that, Naruto followed Madara into the back as Izuna took a seat on the couch. This is where you may sleep tonight. In the back, on the left-hand side, is the restroom. Take a quick shower, get dressed, and join Izuna and I outside. I have an errand to run real quick, but I should be back before you're done. Nodding, and giving a quick thanks to the raven-haired girl, Naruto stepped inside and looked around the restroom. It was a small one, with a sink, toilet and shower. Thanking Kami-sama that this time period still had showers, Naruto turned on the shower, waited a minute for it to heat up, got undressed and stepped in, while wondering how his life could flip and turn upside down so much in just one day. Yesterday, he'd been fighting the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki, Madara Uchiha, whose body was taken over by Kagaya Otsutsuki before sealing her away alongside Sasuke, then fighting the same man who helped him seal Kagaya away and dying at his hands. Now, he was partially an Uchiha being dragged around and told what to do by a female version of Madara Uchiha. Seriously, where to stay ever, and it wasn't even over yet. Letting out a soft sigh to himself, Naruto let himself be dragged off by Madara into the Uchiha clan's training ground. All around the field stood various Uchiha clansmen, from the clan's elders, to even little children wishing to see a good fight. Naruto could see Taijima Uchiha dressed in full battle armor, and waiting patiently off to the side with Izuna next to him, watching as Naruto and Madara made their way to the field while various Uchiha clansmen stood, ready for battle. Looking down at himself, Naruto grinned. Last night, Madara had taken him to the Uchiha clan's armory and allowed him to pick out a set of armor, while the Uchiha clansmen and women wore a body plate with straps over the shoulders that had upper arm plating and thigh/groin protectors. Naruto had chosen something different. He had on black cargo pants taped and tucked into black shinobi sandals, and a long-sleeve white t-shirt with a black collar that had the Uchiha clan paper fan on the back, while wearing thin, mesh armor underneath. As for the armor, however, Naruto had chosen something that strangely resembled the ANBU armor of his time, as he had an orange flak jacket that covered his sides, stomach and back with 2 straps over his shoulders. Finishing off his look was metal arm guards, and a pair of gloves that he practically demanded be painted orange. Thankfully, the engraver did just that, and re-engraved and painted both the Uchiha clan paper fan and the Uzumaki clan swirl on the back. It wasn't as orange as Naruto would have liked, being a more dark, burnt orange, but it would work until he could create himself some more clothes, without anyone questioning how he managed to get such items within the Uchiha clan compound. After he'd received his armor, Naruto was dragged in front of the Uchiha clan in their town hall, and forced to retell the story he told Taijima and Madara, while also receiving looks of distrust for being an Uzumaki, but also amazement after Madara recalled, step for step, his fight with the Senju clan. Thankfully, for the most part, the Uchiha clan seemed to be accepting him as one of their own for the time being. He'd ate, drank and laughed with various members of the clan while trying his best to push aside the pain he felt from everything that was happening to him in such a short time. Oddly, even when others wished to eat and be left alone, Madara was right at his side keeping him company. Hell, since he saved her yesterday, the only time Naruto had been apart from her was when he showered, and when he slept. Even then, when he woke up in the morning, Madara was already sitting in the living room of his new home for the time being, waiting on him so she could drag him to the training grounds. For some reason that Naruto couldn't figure out yet, the heir of the clan seemed rather adamant at sticking near him, and occasionally letting him know his place as Naruto teased her. A fight had been announced for the next morning, which was now, and any who wished to join and test themselves against Naruto were more than welcomed, something Naruto had encouraged. After all, he loved a good fight, and to fight so many people from the warring clan era was going to be awesome in his eyes. Good, you have finally joined us. How would you like to do this, Uzumaki Uchiha-san? Snorting at the name, Naruto shrugged and turned to look at all the people that wished to fight him. How about I fight everyone here that wants to fight, besides you and Madara? After I win, I'll take you 2 on. It was dead silent as every pair of eyes within the vicinity turned towards Naruto after hearing such a cocky declaration that he would undoubtedly win. Taijima smirked, his eyes looking Naruto up and down before he nodded in agreement. If you're so sure, Uzumaki Uchiha-san, that you'll win, then by all means, go ahead, feeling a hand gripping his arm rather harshly. Naruto didn't even have to turn to know it was Madara glaring at him. All of them at once? This is the Uchiha clan's elite we're talking about, not those stinking Senju dogs. Do you honestly believe you can take on that many people and walk away, just to fight the clan head and I after? There's at least 40 people that want to fight you. Shrugging, Naruto grinned at the challenge and nodded. Police. I got this one. This won't even be much of a challenge. Shivering as a feeling of dread washed over him, Naruto turned and saw every person he was fighting glaring bloody murder in his direction, while Madara herself was no longer glaring at him but seemed to be grinning. Taking a closer look, Naruto could see the excitement on her face, which confused the dark-haired ex-Jinchuriki. Ignoring that, Naruto turned and walked away from Taijima and stood in place across from the Uchiha clansman and woman who wished to fight him. Giving a nod to Taijima, Naruto took up a stance and waited for the battle to begin. Good, then the rules for this exhibition are as such. No killing, and no serious maiming. However, broken bones can be healed. Now, is everyone ready? Taijima yelled, looking between Naruto on one side of the field, then to his elite on the other side of the field. Getting multiple nods in agreement, Taijima raised his hand then dropped it. Then begin. Sending chakra to his eyes, Naruto activated his base Sharingan, intent on copying as many jutsus as he possibly could. No doubt the Uchiha clan would be doing the same, so he saw no reason as to why he couldn't do it either. After all, thanks to the events of the Fourth Great Shinobi War, Naruto had the ability to use all 5 changes in chakra natures. He just didn't actually know any jutsu. Standing still, Naruto watched as the 40-some members of the Uchiha clan spread out and started taking various positions on the field. Sword wielders, taijutsu fighters and other close-range fighters fell to the front, while long-range fighters, using various weapons and planning to use various jutsu, fell to the back. Naruto himself took up a taijutsu stance and waited for the entirety of the Uchiha clan warriors to attack him at once, but that didn't happen. Instead, only a handful of members ran forward, intent on taking Naruto down. Smart, like my shadow clones, if they send too many at once they'll all crowd around each other. Staying still, Naruto allowed the wave of opponents to reach him before he made his move. While he had been a child, Naruto had always wanted cool and flashy jutsu to take down enemies so he could save the day. Now though, Naruto had found more of a calling in taijutsu, as his hand seals were, to put it bluntly, terrible. Which is why, with his base form 3 Tomo Sharingan activated, Naruto sprang into action with his fists at the ready. Meeting his first opponent, Naruto threw a feint with his left hand, merely dragging his hand across the air, and as the Uchiha woman turned and watched the hand, his right hand came from below and successfully uppercut the woman, which sent her flying up and backwards. Knowing he had no time to rest and appreciate his simple, but effective plan, Naruto turned his head to the side just in time for his Sharingan to show him the path a man's hand was going to travel. Tilting his head backwards, Naruto's head missed a hand that was trying to take his head off. Grabbing it, Naruto turned his body so the arm was over his shoulder, and the man's body was situated behind him. Bumping his butt out and leaning forward while pulling on the arm, Naruto flipped the man over him, then used him as a human shield to block a rain of kunai, which impacted the man's black armor but didn't penetrate it, before Naruto knocked him out with a hard chop to the neck. Letting go of the knocked out man, Naruto jumped up and twisted his body to dodge another rain of kunai, but was forced to pull out his own kunai, given to him by the Uchiha clan, so he was fully armed, and blocked a few that were aimed for his throat. Landing, Naruto was forced to bring his hands in an X shape to block a jab aimed for his body, then lean back as an Uchiha man tried to kick his head off. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Looking behind him, Naruto noticed a fireball headed directly towards him as the few Uchiha surrounding him jumped away. Watching it, Naruto waited till the last second then jumped away himself, not yet ready to bust out the Manjikyu just yet. Landing, Naruto was quickly swarmed from all sides, and set to work taking out each and every person that came for him. Dodging, weaving, ducking, and counter-attacking every punch, kick and jutsu thrown, Naruto started to take out every person that came for him. As the spectators watched from the sidelines, amazed at the skill and technique being shown from the Uzumaki Uchiha, grunting, Taijima turned towards Madara, with both having their own Sharingan activated, and noticed the look of glee and excitement she had on her face as she watched Naruto take down opponent after opponent, only using taijutsu. I had a hard time believing he was able to take down members of the Senju clan with such ease, but now I can understand just how he could do so. He is quite the fighter, is he not, Madara? Madara turned her head towards her father, but still didn't take her eyes off of Naruto, not wishing to miss a single moment of the fight, as she answered, I told you, father, he is quite amazing. He is powerful, knows jutsu that I've never even heard of or seen before, has an evolved Sharingan, and most importantly, he's an Uchiha. With Naruto-san around, the Uchiha clan can achieve heights not even the Senju could imagine. Of course, after I become clan head, we will stomp those Senju dogs once and for all. Nodding, Taijima turned his attention back to Naruto just as the young man brought his hand forth, and summoned some type of spinning blue ball in his hand. Watching as Naruto rushed forward and shoved the spinning blue ball into Chimei Uchiha's gut, blasting the man backwards as he spun uncontrollably before he was caught by his wife, Teki Uchiha. Taijima couldn't help but sigh as he watched one of the clan's strongest get knocked out from the move. That he is, but tell me? Do you think Uzumaki Uchiha-san will even stick around? He said it himself, he's a hermit that lives and travels alone? Scrutinizing Madara's face, Taijima watched as her face brows furrowed and she frowned. I don't see why not. Naruto-san did say he was looking for a place he belonged, and as an Uchiha, he belongs with us. Humming to himself, Taijima couldn't help but frown. That is true, but what's to stop him from seeking out the Uzumaki clan? After all, he is more an Uzumaki than he is an Uchiha. For all we know, he may leave as soon as he can, and we would be powerless to stop him. Madara frowned, her eyes narrowing as she looked up to Taijima, knowing he was trying to imply something. However, she couldn't figure out what exactly. Then what would you suggest, father? Taijima turned his attention back to Naruto, watching as he stole someone's sword from them, then used it to block some kunai before using the hilt of the sword to knock out Naku Uchiha, another of the clan's elite shinobi. Watching Naruto fight made Taijima realize he was exactly what the Uchiha clan needed to gain an edge over the Senju clan. As clan head, Taijima had to do what was best for the clan, so they could survive and prosper within the crazy world they lived in. With Naruto at their side, as powerful as he was, they could do just that, but Taijima first had to make sure the self-proclaimed hermit had a reason to stick around. Madara seeing as he had her attention, Taijima continued. I want you to stay close to Uzumaki Uchiha-san, and give him a reason to stick around. He's too powerful to allow the Uzumaki and Senjus to stick their claws in. If he tries to leave, ensure that he stays, no matter the cost of such an act. Madara wanted to curse her father for telling her to do such a thing, as she knew what he was implying. But as future head of the clan who understood politics and manipulations better than most, Madara knew for the sake of the clan they could not allow Naruto to leave, just to possibly join his other family. Sighing to herself, Madara nodded obediently. I understand, father. Surprisingly though, at the thought of Naruto sticking around indefinitely, Madara found herself smiling. He was, after all, amazing as she had said before, and he'd saved her life while killing some Senju in the process, so it was hard not to already think of the Uzumaki Uchiha in such a positive light. Not only that, he'd done it for no other reason than not wanting her to die or be defiled. Hell, he still hadn't asked for any type of reward for doing so, which is why if he were to leave, Madara knew she'd actually be sad from seeing him go, as he already treated her differently than anyone else did, and they'd only known each other for less than 24 hours. While everyone was always Madara-sama this and Madara-sama that, Naruto had no problem teasing her, treating her as if she was just a regular girl, and even called her Madara-chan as other men bowed to her in respect of her power and position but treated her as if she was an object to be won so they could someday take control of the Uchiha clan. Naruto just viewed themselves as friends, and somehow, Madara could tell Naruto had no plans to win her so he could take control of the Uchiha clan. She could tell he was a rare, great guy in a world of schemers and manipulators. Which is exactly why Madara swore to herself she would not allow him to leave the clan, not because her father said so, but because she didn't wish to part ways with him, her only friend. And if she had to do a few subtle manipulations to ensure he stayed, then so be it. Pushing those thoughts aside, Madara looked back up to Naruto and watched him closely. He was running through some of the clan's best shinobi and kunoichi without a problem, and didn't even seem winded or tired. Back with Naruto, he was having the time of his life. More than 2/3 of the opponents who elected to face him now laid around the field, either knocked out or too tired to continue on with the fight. There were only 14 people left, most who had elected to watch as their clansmen were taken down systematically and methodically, so they could stay fresh before they finally joined the fight. However, a feeling of unease had set in for most, as they weren't sure what to do against someone that was beating them all, merely using taijutsu and kenjutsu. As Uchihos, they felt as if they should be offended that Naruto didn't deem them enough of a threat to use ninjutsu and genjutsu against them. But as they were having their asses handed to them, they were actually glad the Uzumaki Uchiha was holding back against them, though it pained them immensely to accept that fact. Sharing various looks amongst each other, the various Uchiha men and women tried to figure out the best course of action to take against Naruto, who merely stood there and waited for someone to attack. There was a grin on his face, but everyone surrounding him could tell it wasn't an arrogant grin, but one born of excitement because of the fight he was having. Waiting a few more seconds, Naruto waited to see if anyone would move, but when none did, he decided it was best to finish this up already, as he was really looking towards his fight against Madara. After all, the last time he fought her, she was still a him, and he royally kicked Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura's asses. It was only due to the timely betrayal of Setsu that resurrected Naruto's spiritual grandmother, Kaguya, that Madara was finally defeated. Ignoring all of that though, Naruto ran forward with a sword in hand, that he'd stolen from someone, and met another kenjutsu user with his blade crashing against the man's blade. Thanks to the Sharingan, Naruto had learned quite a few moves to be used with a sword, as well as a ton of jutsu he was going to bust out against Madara and Taijima. With their blades connected, Naruto and the unnamed Uchiha stared each other down for a second, before Naruto brought his foot up and kicked the man right in the stomach, causing him to bend over in pain. Not giving the man even a small chance to right himself, Naruto leaned back to dodge a flying kick from someone trying to save his partner before he swung the blade around in his hand, and brought the hilt down on the back of his head, knocking him out. 13 to go. Running forward, and jumping left and right to dodge some kunai and shuriken, Naruto swung the sword around in his hand and held it like a javelin and threw the blade at a purple-haired woman, who was forced to stop her string of hand seals and jump to the side. It gave Naruto an opening to approach the ninjutsu user, who actually panicked at having Naruto so close to her. Seeing the panicked look, Naruto reached forward and grabbed the woman by the arm and swung her around, using her body to knock away another man that had tried sneaking up on him, then threw the woman away. She managed to right herself in the air, and landed on the ground and managed to slide a few more feet away from Naruto. Immediately she started to run through hand seals, which were copied by Naruto, who then immediately substituted himself with a tree log. The second jutsu he used the entire fight, besides the one Rasengan he'd used. Fire style. Minor fire annihilation. Poof! Reappearing on the other side of the field, directly behind an unsuspecting man, Naruto jumped and drove his knee into the back of the man's head, knocking him out before anyone could even try and stop him. Not that anyone could, as the woman's fire annihilation actually split right down the middle of the field, cutting off most of the Uchihas and their attempts to attack Naruto. 12 to go. Grabbing a shuriken, and mentally paying his respects to the third Hokage as this next move Naruto was about to use was his, Naruto threw it and started to run through hand signs. Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. With just one jutsu, Naruto turned one shuriken into almost 50 that rained down on the Uchiha who'd never seen such a move. 9 to go. While a few were able to substitute themselves out of harm's way, 3 were not and were forced to bring their arms up to cover their faces, which allowed the shuriken to dig into the parts of their arms and legs that had no armor plating, dropping them to the ground in pain, and forcing them to withdraw from the fight unless they wished to die from blood loss. Wow! Did you see that, Darane? He just made one shuriken into 50. Naruto-san must be some type of ninjutsu specialist. He's awesome. On the sidelines, Izuna watched as the man that saved his sister easily swept through the Uchiha clan's best. Unlike Madara, who was watching the fight with excitement and eagerness to have her own turn, and Naruto, Izuna was watching in amazement that someone could be so strong. Yet another jutsu I have never heard of. Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu, truly an amazing jutsu. Though, little brother, I believe Naruto-san might be a taijutsu and ninjutsu specialist. That would be the third jutsu of his I've never seen or heard of before. Shadow clones, Shuriken Shadow clones, and what he called the Rasengan, yet he's used almost nothing but Tai and Kenjutsu in this fight. It would appear Naruto-san is very skilled and knowledgeable. Izuna looked amazed, his eyes shining with an almost hero-like worship. Do you think he'll teach me? Both Madara and Taijima raised an eyebrow in surprise, and turned to Izuna, though it was Taijima that spoke up while looking at Madara instead of Izuna. Ask him, son. See if you cannot become his student, so you may learn all that you can from him. Nodding, Madara made a mental note to try and find a way to get Naruto to agree to train Izuna, which would be one way to get him to stick around, while Izuna nodded, excited at the prospect of learning from one so strong. I will, father. When your fight is over with Naruto-san, I'll ask him to make me his student. Now, Izuna wanted the fights to be over already, so he could try to convince Naruto to make him his student. Turning his attention back to the fight, Izuna noticed there were only 5 more people left standing, as 4 more were taken down in the time he and his immediate family were talking. With Naruto, he was currently engaged in a taijutsu fight with the last 5 people, who were surrounding him and sending every punch, kick, and headbutt his way that he could. However, using the Sharingan, that showed Naruto the way in which an attack was coming, nothing was hitting him as he dodged, weaved, ducked, and jumped over every attack. Ducking over a kick, Naruto sprang up and grabbed the leg as it was stuck over his shoulder, then turned and threw the woman into another girl, leaving only 3 people around him at the moment. Waiting a moment, Naruto was rewarded when 2 of the 3 opponents left each came to attack him, one of each side. The man on the right threw a high kick aimed for Naruto's neck which would force him to bend backwards to the waist, while the man on the left dropped down low and tried to swipe Naruto's feet out from underneath him. Seeing this, and noticing the attacks weren't timed perfectly, Naruto leaned backwards and dodged the kick aimed for his throat, then jumped while still leaning backwards so he landed on the ground on his shoulders, then kicked up to his feet and threw a left punch that found its way to the neck kicker's nose, knocking him out. With that man out cold, Naruto turned in just in time to bring his arms up and block a punch aimed for his face from the third man that had decided not to attack as his 2 teammates did, then grabbed the man by the shirt sleeve and pulled him into a flying knee, knocking him out as well. 3 to go. The 2 women that Naruto had thrown away joined the last man on the training field, and stood defiantly in front of Naruto, though he could see the exhaustion on their faces, while he himself was fresh and ready to go, not suffering from either physical tiredness nor chakra exhaustion. He may have lost Kurama, but as an Uzumaki with a part of his mom's soul residing in his body, he still had more chakra than anyone else, and he'd only used a handful of jutsu the entire fight, instead wanting to use everything he had against Taijima and Madara, to really impress not only them, but the clan as well. Grinning to himself, Naruto had a random thought pop up in his head that made him chuckle just a little bit as he set his eyes on the last male on the field. It was time to bust out the most deadly and humiliating ninjutsu to ever exist, besides his sexy jutsu. Running forward, Naruto jumped into a spinning kick that hit no one, but it had done what Naruto intended as his 3 opponents each jumped in a different direction. Meeting the man head-on with a punch that was blocked due to the man crossing his arms, Naruto grabbed the man and jumped over him, so he was situated behind him. Not giving the man a chance to turn around, Naruto sent a right hook that connected with the side of the man's head, stunning him and making him stumble to his knees. Quickly looking to the side, Naruto noticed he had just enough time to do the jutsu that would take the man out, and possibly hurt his pride. Placing his hands in a tiger seal, Naruto ran forward, and announced the move at the top of his voice. Naruto Uzumaki Secret Finger Technique, 1000 Years of Death. Then promptly stuck his fingers up the man's ass. It was quiet for a few seconds, as every set of eyes on the field and on the sidelines watched Naruto in disbelief at the audacity to even try such a thing before the man blasted off in the air, holding his now defiled butthole and screaming in pain. What in the... Taijima was stunned, not quite sure if what his Sharingan had just recorded was what he actually saw. To the side, Madara blushed furiously as she watched Naruto stick his fingers up another man's ass, which resulted in the man being blasted away and screaming in pain while Izuna raised an eyebrow, confused to see his sister and dad reacting in such a way for a move that obviously worked so well. What kind of stupid, idiotic, half-witted, brain-dead fool would even create such a jutsu? That fool! And here I was respecting him this entire fight. If he tries that on me, Madara blushed, her mind racing tremendously as she imagined Naruto doing that to her. Oh, she'd kill him if he even tried, that was for sure. The two women left on the field also blushed, their eyes looking back and forth between Naruto and Suryoku Uchiha, the receiver of the Beppoke Jutsu, as he laid there face down, ass up and groaning in pain to himself. Sharing a look between each other, both the women stepped back in fear as Naruto turned his attention to them as he took up a taijutsu stance, one that paid homage to Rock Lee and Might Guy. His left hand was resting behind his back, resting on his shuriken pouch with a closed fist, while his right hand was opened with the palm facing towards Naruto, and the back of his hand facing towards the two women while his body was angled sideways. Sharing one last look between the two of them, the two kunoichi ran forward, already knowing they were going to lose, but their Uchiha pride wouldn't let them quit. The first kunoichi to reach Naruto threw a punch at him, but her hand was batted away and directed towards the ground. Fire style, flame spear! From behind him, the second kunoichi used Naruto's focus on the first kunoichi, and created a blade of fire that was sent hurtling right towards him. Turning around and seeing the jutsu coming, Naruto turned back around and grabbed the first kunoichi, and jumped high into the air while spinning, and threw the first kunoichi into the second kunoichi, sending them both crashing into the ground. Using this as his chance to finally finish his first fight of the day, Naruto ran straight for the two tangled women, jumped high into the air, and came down with both his fists cocked back. The two women turned just in time for Naruto to drive his fists right into their face, knocking them out. It was dead quiet as Naruto stood up, and wiped the accumulated dirt and grime off his clothes before he turned around for the gathered crowd that had seen his fight, and bowed. It was silent for a few seconds, then the gathered crowd went nuts, screaming his name, and clapping loudly as they watched one man take on 40 elite Uchiha, and win without actually taking any damage from attacks, not counting any damage he received from blocking punches and kicks. Turning, Naruto could see Taijima looking at him, observing him and the 40 Uchiha laying passed out on the ground. With a small nod of the man's head, Naruto knew he was beyond impressed at what he'd just seen, making Naruto grin. It was nice to have a clan head acknowledge him for something, especially the Uchiha clan head, as the clan head in his time had been a bit of aid to Naruto. Madara, though, she was practically bouncing in her spot, a hand on her sword ready to start her battle with Naruto. However, seeing as medical nin were coming onto the field, so they could cart the injured shinobi and kunoichi away, Naruto made his way over to the main family instead of starting his next fight and grinned. "See, I told you. Piece of cake." Naruto had been expecting for Taijima or Madara to say something, but Izuna appeared in front of Naruto with stars in his eyes. "That was amazing, Naruto-san. The way you took on so many people, and didn't even get hit once. How did you get so strong? Can you teach me? Will you be my sensei?" Seeing no point in waiting, Izuna sprung the question with hopes that Naruto would accept him. However, those hopes were almost squashed as a pained look overcame Naruto, visible for the main family to see. His mind was reminiscing with thoughts of his first and favorite student, Konohamaru. Naruto partially wanted to know what would become of Konohamaru, but was also scared to think about it as he knew he'd never get an answer. But if he had to take a guess, Naruto couldn't help but think he was most likely dead, or signing his own death wish by trying to fight and kill the man that killed him. Konohamaru was a loyal student like that, willing to fight Temari for what he perceived to be a slight against Naruto, that was thankfully broken up by Shikamaru. Pushing those thoughts away, as it did nothing but bring him pain and he could do nothing about it, Naruto turned his attention back to the waiting Izuna. "You want to be my student?" Naruto hummed, bringing a hand up to his chin as he looked the younger boy up and down. Naruto knew enough about Uchihas to know they loved deeper than anyone else, and it was obvious Izuna loved no one more than he loved Madara, while Madara loved no one more than she loved Izuna. If he, Naruto, wanted to make sure Black Zetsu never got his hands on Madara, then he'd have to make sure Izuna stayed alive so Madara had no reason to fall to the curse of hatred. "Tell me, what do you think makes a person strong?" Taijima and Madara raised an eyebrow, curious to see what Naruto had to say, while Izuna looked down, obviously thinking. A couple seconds later he answered, "Well, jutsu, right?" Surprisingly, Naruto shook his head, confusing not only Izuna, but Madara and Taijima. "No, not jutsu. Do you want to know how I became as strong as I am, Chibi-kun?" Izuna nodded, his head bobbing up and down excitedly at the prospect of learning Naruto's secret. "Let me tell you a story." Sighing to himself, Naruto recalled his first mission to the Land of Waves, though he knew he'd have to change a few details to fit his lie of living on the continent to the east. My first actual mission for the Shadow Tree, I was sent out in a 4-man squad, alongside 2 other newly minted mercenaries, named Sasuke and Sakura. Madara looked at Naruto intently, observing his face as he told his story, already hearing the underlying sadness in his voice as he talked about his 2 teammates, one of whom she'd already heard about. Your brother, right? Sasuke? So he fled to the continent to the east with you? Naruto nodded slightly, his eyes glazed over as he thought back to his past. That's correct. He was my brother, and my only friend for a long time. Alongside Sakura, we were joined by our teacher, Kakashi-sensei. We were sent to an island that had been taken over by a shipping company that was bleeding the small island dry. People were dying of starvation, while any local that tried to revolt against the CEO of the company, Gato, was killed in a gruesome public execution. On the way there, we were attacked by 2 people called the Demon Brothers, and seeing as it was my first real fight, I froze up as Sasuke took down the 2 brothers, though I was poisoned during the exchange. After we fought, we'd found out the man we were escorting home to build a bridge over the ocean to connect his island to the mainland, Tazuna, had lied to us. He knew he was being hunted down, and lied to our village about it, but he didn't have enough money to pay for such a high-paying mission and decided to take his chance. If we turned around and went home, his island would continue to suffer, but if we escorted him home and guarded him, we might very well die trying to save the island. Tell me, Izuna, what would you do? Seeing as Madara was about to open her mouth, Naruto held a hand up and shook his head. He wanted to know what Izuna would do. What would I do? Looking down, Izuna thought to himself and tried to think out the situation as best as he could. If he were in Naruto's shoes, and he didn't continue the mission, he wouldn't risk dying and would be able to come home to his sister. At the expense of an entire island, however, if he continued and he died, Izuna knew that would make Madara incredibly sad. Ignoring his personal feelings though, Izuna tried to think of the consequences he'd face as a shinobi to his clan, and the gain and profit he could make for the Uchiha clan as a whole. After all, Naruto said his village was paid, albeit not enough for the mission to take place, meaning the revenue they got from missions were a large part of the economy. If he, Izuna, helped liberate the island, he could work out some way of making his clan even more money under the pretense of not being paid enough for the mission in the first place. Also, Izuna knew the dangers of the shinobi world, and what was expected of him. The clan came first, even at the expense of his own life, which gave him the answer he was looking for. If I was in your shoes, I'd continue the mission. Afterwards, when it was done, I'd try to find some way for my clan, or village in your instance, to be compensated for the lie and underpayment of the mission. Looking up, Izuna was not expecting to see a surprised look on Naruto's face as the Uzumaki scratched his head in embarrassment. Wow, I never even thought of that. I think a leader-sama managed to do that in the end, because if you thought of it, there was no way the god of mercenaries didn't think of it either. Damn, you're really smart for your age, Chibi-kun. While Izuna beamed at the acknowledgement from Naruto, Madara raised a surprised eyebrow at something she heard. I'm sorry, but the god of mercenaries? Naruto nodded, a sudden happy yet sad look on his face as he thought of the old man that made sure he was okay in a village full of people that wanted nothing but his death for what he held. Yeah, his name was Hiruzen, a no last name. He was the 3rd leader of the Shadow Tree, and called the god of mercenaries, but I just called him old man because he was like my grandfather to me. Almost no one was as strong as him in his prime, and while I'm sure I'm stronger than he was, I still think, in his prime, he'd wipe the floor with me just because of how smart he was. He was the voice of reason within a village that wanted nothing to do with either Sasuke or I, because of how different we were to everyone else. Madara noticed the happy smile on Naruto's face, no doubt thinking of the man he considered a grandfather, and made a note to find out more of Naruto's past life, as she was quite interested in hearing more stories already. Anyways, back to my story, Chibi-kun. We continued the mission, and after making it to the island under the cover of the island's natural fog, we ran into a man named Zabuza. Feeling embarrassed from freezing up in my first fight, I foolishly tried to run at the man called the Demon Ofu, the Fog? If I remember correctly. That's unimportant, but what is important is Kakashi-sensei had to fight Zabuza, and almost lost had it not been for Sasuke and I saving him from a well-thought-out plan. Before Kakashi could kill him though, the man's student, wearing a mask that identified him as a hunter of rogue mercenaries, managed to save him and make a run for it. Kakashi was too tired to chase him, so we followed Tazuna back to his home. For a week we would train as hard as we could, knowing we'd inevitably have to fight Zabuza again, as there was no way he would just abandon his own mission. Day in, day out we would train while rotating on guard duty. Then one day, after getting in a yelling match with Tazuna's grandson, Ainari, I stormed outside and trained myself to the ground and fell asleep in the woods. Then, a girl, or a boy, I still don't know which one it was to this day, woke me up and asked me why I wanted to become a mercenary. I told the girlish boy that I wanted to be a mercenary so everyone would accept me and stop treating me like an outsider. Looking at Izuna and Madara, Taijima could tell they were hanging on to every word the boy was saying, so engrossed with his story that even Madara had forgotten about her earlier excitement to fight, while Izuna was trying to figure out what it was Naruto was trying to tell him. Finally, she asked me something important. Do you have anyone important in your life? Do you fight for that person, or do you fight for yourself? I didn't know it at the time, But I did have someone important in my life, 3 people to be exact, my team. Finally, he told me something that has stuck with me to this day. I believe when a person has someone to fight for, then they can truly become strong. I didn't understand what he meant, until we met once more, this time as enemies. Turns out, the masked man that saved Zabuza turned out to be Haku, the one that woke me up in the forest. Madara raised an eyebrow, her mind racing with various thoughts about this Haku person, their story, and their ideal of how one grew strong. Looking down at Izuna, Madara actually had to agree with the girlish boy that left such an impact on Naruto. She, Madara, fought for her clan's safety, but most importantly, fought for her brother's safety. Everything she did for the clan, but also did for Izuna. If her father tried to send Izuna on a mission with others, Madara would always volunteer, and either try to take his place, and join him in fear of her younger brother dying as all her other siblings had. While Madara cared for power, she also knew herself well enough to know she cared more for her brother, who was her driving force and light in the shinobi world. Izuna, though, he looked surprised and immediately fell into thought. So Naruto-san grew to be so strong because he fought not for himself, but others like his brother? I never want anything to happen to Darane. So I need to fight for her to get stronger, so I can protect her. Izuna understood what Naruto was saying though, and thought to himself he quite liked what he was hearing. Naruto-san didn't get powerful for the sake of growing strong. Instead, he grew powerful for the sake of protecting those he loved. If there was one thing Izuna was sure of, it was the pain and heartbreak of losing a sibling hurt more than anything, and he never wanted to experience it ever again. Taijima stayed silent, though internally he also agreed with Naruto as well. He grew strong for the sake of the clan and his children, which was why he fought. Of course he hated the Senju, but he loved his clan and wanted the Uchiha to be at the top of the food chain within the shinobi world. We fought on the bridge, and Haku kicked mine and Sasuke's ass, as Sakura guarded Tazuna and Kakashi-sensei fought Zabuza. Sometime into the fight I thought that Haku had killed Sasuke, and anger and pain I'd never once experienced filled me to the brim, giving me the power to defeat someone who just beforehand had me on the brink of death, and I punched the mask off of the masked man's face, to learn it was Haku. I asked him how can you serve a man that views you as nothing but a tool? I don't understand. And hearing Haku's speech, I finally understood. Haku fought for Zabuza because Zabuza was the first person that ever wanted Haku, even if it was just for his abilities. Haku fought for Zabuza because finally he had someone that wanted him, that pushed him to try his best, and even though I didn't know it at the time, fought for Zabuza because Zabuza actually cared about him. Zabuza gave Haku the strength to fight, just like my team, my brother, and my village gave me the strength to fight. Sadly, by the end of the day both Haku and Zabuza ended up dead. And with their deaths, I found my mercenary way, now my ninja way now that I'm back here, in the elemental nations. Do you want to know what my way is, Chibi-kun? It wasn't just Izuna, but Madara as well, that nodded ferociously. I never run away, and I won't go back on my word. That is my ninja way. I swore that on the graves of Zabuza and Haku, who helped me find myself in this crazy world we live in. They might have been my enemies, but they helped me understand myself in more ways than anyone ever had. Now when I fight for the sake of others, not myself, and I fight honoring the vow I made at their graves. Izuna and Madara seemed amazed, Madara more so than Izuna as she listened to Naruto. To know that he fought for the sake of others, and not himself, made the respect she already had for him rise even more. So, I'm going to ask you something, Chibi-kun, and depending on what you say, I'll either accept you as my student, or not. Now what do you fight for? Seeing not only Naruto staring at him with such an intensity, but also Madara and his father Taijima, made Izuna blush slightly, though the young boy wasted no time in answering Naruto, as he already knew what he wanted to fight for. I fight for Darane. I want to become stronger, so Darane never has to lose another sibling. We've already lost 3 siblings, but Darane is strong. I don't worry about losing her. I worry about dying, and leaving Darane alone. That's why I want to get stronger, so Darane doesn't ever have to be alone. While Naruto smiled at hearing such an honest answer, Madara almost teared up at hearing why Izuna wanted to get stronger. Not for his own sake, but for hers, so she wouldn't be left alone in the world. Reaching forward, Madara pulled the 12-year-old into a tight hug and gave him an audibly low thank you, little brother, as Taijima smiled slightly, happy to know his son was going to be gaining a strong teacher to train him in the ways of the shinobi. An excellent answer, Chibi-kun. Very well. Reaching out, and patting the smiling boy on the head, Naruto spoke. Then from now on, you're my student. I will teach you everything I can. Izuna smiled and wrapped his arms around Madara, who was looking at Naruto with a shining smile adorning her face for a few reasons. 1. She was incredibly thankful towards Naruto agreeing to train her brother, and 2. This meant he'd be staying with the Uchiha clan for the foreseeable future, which made the girl happier than she expected. Thank you, Naruto-sensei. I won't let you and Darane down, I promise. Naruto grinned, and ruffled Izuna's hair just as Taijima spoke up. Thank you, Uzumaki Uchiha-san. Seeing as you'll now be staying within the Uchiha compound here at Soraku, then you are welcome to keep living in the apartment you stayed in last night. Is this an acceptable agreement? Naruto agreed immediately, happy for a few reasons. 1. He now had somewhere he could call home in this timeline he found himself in. 2. He could train Izuna and help keep the boy alive, hopefully so Madara, when the hidden leaf is built, wouldn't have too much of a reason to hate Tobirama. And 3. Naruto could stick around Madara and try to keep her out of the clutches of Black Zetsu. Excuse me, Taijima-sama? Turning, Naruto, Taijima, Madara and Izuna noticed a black-haired woman standing there, nervous to be in front of the main family, and Naruto. The field is now clear, sir, so we can get on with yours and Madara-sama's battle against Uzumaki Uchiha-san. And just like that, the excitement and glee of getting to fight Naruto showed on Madara's face, who used a body flicker to appear on one side of the field, hand already on sword and waiting for Naruto and Taijima to join her. Turning towards Taijima, Naruto gave a small nod of the head, then slowly, very slowly, walked his way to the other side of the field, grinning as he watched Madara impatiently bounce on her heels, hand on her sword, and Sharingan already activated. Izuna, turn your Sharingan on and pay very close attention to this fight. You, Kantoku, you will be the proctor for this fight. Receiving a nod from both Izuna and Kantoku, the black-haired Uchiha, Taijima turned and made his way to his daughter's side as he activated his own Sharingan and grabbed the katana strapped to his back. The rules of this fight will be the same as last time, Uzumaki Uchiha-san. No killing, no serious maiming, but everything else is fine as it can be healed. Are you ready? Nodding at Taijima, all three sets of eyes turned towards the proctor and awaited the signal to begin the fight. If all the combatants are ready, then begin. Nodding one last time at the proctor, Naruto turned his attention to Madara and Taijima, a wide grin on his face as he was about to fight Madara Uchiha, though a much different Madara from the timeline he was born in. Still though, Naruto was looking forward to this, to see how strong Madara really was in this timeline and to know if he, Naruto, really was the strongest person in this timeline, or not. It would seem Madara would be the first to reach him, as Taijima actually stood back and decided to observe his daughter and Naruto, before he would join in. Reaching Naruto, Madara drew her sword in a large arch and tried to take his head off of his shoulders, but Naruto was having none of that. Ducking under the sword, Naruto shot forward and grabbed Madara's sword hand before she could pull away, and squeezed it hard enough to make her let go of her sword, which Naruto then kicked away. He wanted to have some fun, and there was nothing better than some hand-to-hand. Pulling Madara in close, Naruto tried for an elbow to the face, but showing off her flexibility, Madara bent backwards and ducked under the elbow, then jumped and did a backflip, forcing Naruto to let go of her hand. While in the air, Madara planted a hand on Naruto's shoulder and pushed off, causing her to spin, which in turn allowed her to bring her foot down in an axe kick that Naruto caught with both of his arms, then pushed her away. Landing on the ground in a crouched position, Madara used her momentum to spring forward and throw a punch aimed for Naruto's face, which missed as he leaned to the side. With Madara's arm over his shoulder, Naruto leaned forward and drove his head into hers, dazing the girl slightly as she stumbled back and tried to ignore just how bad that one head but actually hurt. Shaking it off, Madara had just a second to try and react, which she did unsuccessfully, as Naruto drove a palm into her stomach and blasted her backwards. Flying through the air, Madara righted herself at the last second and landed on the ground, then looked up to Naruto, a wide grin on her face. All around them, the crowd of spectators were going crazy at what they'd just seen, as the entire fist fight between Madara and Naruto, from the time she first drew her sword to Naruto blasting her backwards, only took about 5 seconds in real time. Standing up, Madara stared Naruto down, who had an easygoing grin on his face, and couldn't help the smile that blossomed across her face. Already she could tell this was going to be a tough fight, and a win would be even harder to achieve, if not impossible. She ignored that though and ran forward while at the same time running through hand seals. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Bringing a hand up to her mouth, Madara spit out a huge fireball that was sent directly towards Naruto. However, she was positive Naruto would dodge that fireball, which was just a distraction. With her view of Naruto blocked, Madara brought her hands up into a cross seal and created 3 perfect copies of herself. 2 of them used the transformation technique, and turned into demon windmill shurikens that Madara and the clones scooped up just as Naruto jumped over the fireball. Cocking her arm back, Madara let the first demon windmill shuriken fly as Naruto was stuck in the air, only for Naruto to create a clone that pushed him out of the way and tried to take the hit for him. Thinking quickly, the transformed clone let go of the transformation right before impact, and like Naruto, used his clone as a springboard to fly towards Naruto, who turned his attention to the clone just as the second clone with the demon windmill shuriken threw the transformed weapon at Naruto. With his back to the oncoming weapon, Madara was sure it'd hit him, though she wasn't worried about killing him as she'd seen a sword shatter against his neck. Still though, she was sure it'd do some type of damage, but it was for naught as Naruto fell to the ground just as the clone undid the transformation, sending the 2 clones flying into each other, which caused them to pop as Madara's clones were nowhere near as durable as Naruto's. Seeing that her plan of letting go of the transformation at the last second and grabbing Naruto to hold him in place failed, Madara and her clone ran forward intent on double-teaming Naruto with Taijutsu. The clone reached him first and came in with a right jab aimed for his nose as the real Madara followed it up with a left hook that was aimed for his ear. Neither punch found its mark though as Naruto fell to the ground in a coiled position, which he quickly let go of, causing his leg to swing out wide and dispel the clone while Madara's feet were swiped out from under her, sending her to the ground, back first. Standing up, Naruto put his hands behind his head and grinned as his eyes caught Madara's, who understood what such a stance meant. I have everything under control, what are you going to do? Truly, she wanted to get mad, as Naruto was practically mocking her, yet Madara found herself grinning as she knew Naruto was just doing it to tease her and throw her off of her game. In the short time they'd been around each other, Madara had quickly learned Naruto loved to tease and annoy people, and right now, she was the main target for his teasing. Off to the side though, Taijima watched the interaction between his daughter and Naruto, mind already making plans. He could not lose Naruto to the Uzumaki or the Senju, as he was just too powerful. It was why he told Madara to do whatever she could to keep Naruto around, even seducing him if she had to. Though he hadn't outright said it, Taijima was sure Madara understood his underlying message, even if she didn't like it. However, watching the two interact gave him a slim hope that things might work out more naturally. Though he was head of the clan, Madara was still his only daughter, and he only wanted the best and strongest for her as a husband, so when she one day took over the clan from him, she was unstoppable. Now, Taijima was sure the best and strongest for her was Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha. After all, a child of Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha would be powerful, even more so if that child had a strong mother. If he could find a way to get his daughter together with the boy, Taijima knew the Uchiha clan would be set for generations to come, which is exactly why Taijima was hanging back, allowing Naruto and Madara to battle out for the moment, together. He knew they needed time together, to get to know one another, as Taijima was positive that if he tried to forcefully marry the two, it'd backfire tremendously. After all, Taijima had nothing to hold over Naruto's head, nothing to make the boy do as he wished, which meant he had one choice. Hope Madara could be successful in capturing the raven-haired boy's heart, all for the sake of the clan. Watching the two intently, Taijima watched as Madara jumped up to her feet as Naruto just stood there arrogantly, in his eyes at least, and the two fell into a taijutsu stance. Madara with the Uchiha clan's interceptor fist, while Naruto once more adopted the stance of one hand behind the back, body turned to the side, and right hand flat with the palm facing Naruto. Come on Madara-chan. Naruto gave her a teasing smile as he spoke, making the girl smirk and arrogant. Uchiha smirked. I thought you'd give me a better fight than this, you know. I've still yet to work up a sweat, and I had to fight like 40 people before I got to the fight I was looking forward to. You were looking forward to fighting me? Naruto grinned, his head nodding up and down as he spoke. Of course. 'Cause after I beat you, you gotta call me Naruto-sama, you know. Madara snorted in a very unladylike fashion, and shook her head. As if, dimwit, the great Madara-sama has no superior but herself. But don't worry, when I win, you can keep calling me Madara-chan. Trailing off, Madara seemed to realize what she just said, and blushed at practically admitting she secretly liked that Naruto called her Madara-chan, and not Madara-sama like everyone else did. However, Naruto being Naruto meant he was unsure of why Madara was suddenly scarlet red and dropped his hands as he leaned close to Madara, a confused look on his face. Hey, you're all red? You're not getting sick, are you? Should we stop the fight? Madara stared at him, with her mind coming up with a single thought. He's an idiot. Thank Kami. Pushing that thought to the side, Madara used Naruto's moment of concern and tried to punch him in the face, but thanks to Naruto's Sharingan, he was able to see it coming and lean back, allowing the punch to fly right past him. Hey! What was that for? I was just making sure you're okay, you know. Again, Madara couldn't stop the blush that spread across her cheeks when hearing Naruto say that. It was nice to know Naruto cared enough to try and stop the fight just to make sure she was okay, especially when she knew any other in his position would use her not feeling well as a chance to get a win over her. I'm fine, you brain-dead dimwit. Now fight me. Shrugging, Naruto did just that and brought his hands up to block another punch aimed for his face, before dropping his hands down low and catching Madara's foot that was aimed for his stomach. Spinning her around, Naruto released the leg and watched as Madara was sent flying towards the spectators. Seeing that she'd be unable to stop herself from impacting into the spectators, as the field they were at was incredibly crowded at this point, Taijima used a body flicker to catch his daughter and set her on the ground. Thank you, father. Nodding, Taijima motioned for Madara to continue her fight, which she gladly did. Running forward, Madara pulled out a kunai that had some ninja wire attached to the wire that was held in her left hand, while she held just a regular kunai in her right hand. Throwing the kunai in her right hand, Madara watched as Naruto jumped slightly to the left, dodging the kunai, then threw the kunai in her left hand and watched as it missed Naruto by a few inches. That, however, had been the plan as she pulled in the wire tightly, causing the kunai to suddenly spin around Naruto, wrapping him in ninja wire. Putting the wire in her mouth, Madara started to run through hand seals, fire style, dragon fire technique. The dragon made of fire rushed along the wires currently wrapped around Naruto, and engulfed the raven-haired boy. All around, the crowd chanted Madara's name, hoping for their future clan head to win this fight. Madara ignored that though, and watched the flames for any sign of Naruto. A second later Naruto merely walked out of the flames, completely unfazed and whistling to himself as he smiled at Madara. Narrowing her eyes, Madara noticed something about Naruto had changed. Namely, his eyes. Manjikyu. When it was announced to the clan the night before that Naruto had the Manjikyu, he was absolutely hounded with questions on how to achieve such a thing. Like he told Taijima, Naruto told the clan that senjutsu was a requirement to unlock the eyes. He'd gotten annoyed, but finally the clan was able to get something out of Naruto, namely, that each Manjikyu came with its own special ability in each eye, and that his special ability was called Kamui, which allowed him to phase through attacks, as he put it. After that, he'd been absolutely tight-lipped about his eyes, but not before giving a subtle warning though, that any that tried to come for his eyes would fail, and not live to see another day. Madara was sure the clan took his warning seriously though, as even she wasn't sure how you could steal the eyes of someone you couldn't even touch. She ignored those thoughts though, and focused her attention on Naruto as her mind raced with ways to land just one shot on him. As much as she kept telling herself she would win this fight, Madara also knew the only way she could win was to outlast him, so he wasn't able to phase through her attacks. One problem though, Naruto was also an Uzumaki, which were known for their large chakra reserves. Outlasting him in a fight was off the table, which meant, as much as it pained her, that this fight wasn't about beating Naruto but getting Naruto to acknowledge her as a kunoichi, and hopefully an equal even if she knew they weren't. Running forward, Madara met Naruto head-on and threw a feint right hook, which Naruto tried to block. Then she lifted her knee and tried to drive it into Naruto's stomach. Unfortunately, Naruto was able to drop his crossed arms and push the knee back down while using the opening to bring his head forward, and crash it into Madara's nose. Madara's head snapped back, and her eyes closed in pain as she felt blood start to gush from her now broken nose. Knowing she couldn't afford to take her eyes off of her opponent, Madara forced her eyes open while she ignored the pain of a broken nose only to see that Naruto had jumped up and spun around with a kick. Leave Hurricane. Thinking fast, Madara leaned back just far enough to dodge the kick that over-rotated Naruto so his back was to Madara, and jumped forward and onto Naruto's back. Wrapping her left arm around Naruto's neck, and her legs around Naruto's waist, Madara reached for and grabbed a kunai in her pouch with her right hand and brought it up so the kunai was situated against his neck. Yield. I could slit your throat from this position, Naruto-san. Madara had expected Naruto to do just that, giving her the win she so desperately wanted over the raven-haired man. Naruto did none of that though, as he raised an eyebrow and looked to Madara from the side of his eye, his Manjikyu meeting her 3-tomo Sharingan as a smirk blossomed across his face. You think so? Take a closer look at your body. Madara-chan, not liking the fact that Naruto was teasing her in the position he was in, had Madara quickly looking at her arms and body to notice it was wrapped in some type of chain. Trying to move her hand, the golden chains tightened around both her arms and around her waist, getting a grunt of pain from Madara. Before she could do anything, Madara was ripped away from Naruto's bodies as the adamantine chakra chains held her up in the air, suppressing her chakra and her body movement. All around, whispers started to surface as the Uchiha clan recognized what they were looking at. The adamantine chakra chains of the Uzumaki clan, which confirmed to them that Naruto was indeed an Uzumaki, something they didn't fully believe as Naruto had black hair instead of red hair. So, Uzumaki Uchiha-san not only possesses the Manjikyu, but also the Uzumaki clan's adamantine chakra chains. I dare say he might even be able to suppress a tailed beast. If the legends of the Manjikyu are to be believed, just another reason we cannot lose him. Muttering to himself, Taijima watched as his daughter was so easily held up in the air, a growing smirk on his face. This one move cemented in his mind that, no matter the cost, Madara would have to try and find a way to seduce and bed the Uzumaki Uchiha, so she may bear a child for the sake of the Uchiha clan, as well as Madara's sake of having a strong, capable husband at her side as she led the Uchiha clan into greatness. Deciding he'd allowed Naruto and Madara enough time to fight amongst themselves, Taijima quietly drew his sword and used the body flicker to reappear directly in front of Naruto, ready to test himself against the Ravenet. Doing the same move that Madara had at the beginning of the fight, Taijima tried to pull his sword out in a large arch and behead the boy, only for a chakra chain to appear in front of Naruto and block the attack. Trying to pull away, Taijima was unsuccessful as the chair wrapped around his sword and snaked its way up his arm, immobilizing him. Then, Taijima was lifted off the ground and flung to the side, directly at Madara, causing the father and daughter duo to collide in midair, and fall to the ground as Naruto recalled his chakra chains. Ugh, that hurt, father. Ignoring Madara, Taijima stood up and gripped his sword tightly, his eyes running over the field as he tried to find the perfect plan of attack, to take Naruto down. While Madara might be able to admit she had no chance against one such as Naruto, Taijima would not. There had to be a way to win. After all, if he, as clan head, were to lose to a newcomer to the clan, then many might very well rally behind Naruto, and call for him to be made head of the clan as he was the strongest. Taijima could not allow that to happen, at least, not until he found a way to get his daughter with the man. Madara seeing as he had her attention, while Naruto simply stood away from them with his hands behind his head, Taijima spoke. I will hold him off as you grab your sword. After that, we'll both create those shadow clones and have them use ninjutsu to attack from a distance as I go high, and you go low. Got it? Nodding, Madara looked around the field and saw her sword. While Madara took off in a sprint, intent on getting her sword, Taijima ran towards Naruto, bringing his sword around in a large arch. Again, Taijima intentionally missed and spun the blade in his hand so he could try for a backhanded stabbing motion that grazed Naruto's cheek. Not relenting in the slightest, Taijima spun the blade in hand once more, so he was holding correctly, and tried to plunge the blade into Naruto's heart only for Naruto to turn out of the way, causing the blade to slide against his flak jacket. Jumping back, Taijima turned in time to see, and copy, Madara using the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Bringing his own hands up in a cross seal, Taijima spoke. Shadow Clone Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. Creating 5 clones each, Taijima really had to give it to Naruto. He could feel a significant amount of his chakra disappear from just creating 5 clones, each that had enough chakra to use their own jutsu. Nodding at his daughter, Taijima shot forward at the same time as Madara, and tried for an overhand swing to cleave the ravenet in half at the same time that Madara went for an arching swing, intent in cleaving Naruto in half at the waist. From behind Naruto, a clone of Madara landed quietly and did her best to plunge the sword into Naruto's heart. Naruto, after seeing he had nowhere to jump as he had a sword coming for his body from all sides, sent chakra into his eye and grinned as the 3 swords simply passed through his body, something that annoyed Taijima and Madara immensely. Turning, Naruto jumped into a flying knee and popped the first clone of Madara, and was about to do the same for Taijima, but was forced to send more chakra into his eye for a kamui as 5 fireballs appeared, from the clones of Madara and Taijima, surrounded him on all sides. Madara and Taijima jumped away, not wanting to get caught by their own clones' jutsus, and watched as Naruto simply stood there and took the attack. With fire erupting everywhere, both Madara and Taijima lost sight of Naruto, and realized he was nowhere to be seen as the fire cleared. Looking left, right, and up, both Madara and Taijima realized Naruto had to be underground. Unfortunately, either of the two were able to utilize Earth-style jutsu, nor did they have the strength to break the ground and force Naruto out. Turning so they were back to back, while their clones situated themselves on the edge of the field near the spectators. Both Madara and Taijima let their Sharingan sweep across the field, looking for any sign of Naruto appearing from the ground. It was because they were all looking down, and waiting for Naruto to appear from the ground, that they didn't see as a swirling portal opened high in the sky, spitting Naruto out, who started to fall to the ground. Old Maien! Hearing the voice from above him, Taijima looked up at the same time Naruto let his cocked back fist fly forward, hitting Taijima's nose, and like Madara's, breaking it. Grunting, but not once taking his eyes off of Naruto, Taijima was forced back as Naruto landed on the ground, and sprang forward, towards him. While Naruto had his back to her, Madara ran forward and tried to plunge her sword through his back again. Just as Naruto cocked his fist back to hit Taijima, only for Madara to completely run through Naruto, and almost run her own dad through with her sword. Grunting in annoyance, Madara had just enough time to turn just for Naruto's fist to connect with her cheek, sending her flying away and cementing the fact that she both hated and respected that phasing move of his, while respecting it immensely. Having learned her lesson about turning into punches, Madara instead dove past her father in a shinobi roll, then sprang to her feet in time to see Naruto engaging her father in hand-to-hand. With a left punch to the face, followed by a right uppercut to the gut, Naruto spun and planted a foot firmly on Taijima's chest, sending him flying back where he rolled across the ground and came to a stop. Shadow Clone Jutsu. This time, it was Naruto creating shadow clones, 55 clones to be exact. Well, let's kick this up a notch, you know. 5 clones per person and clone on the field. Nodding his head, Naruto watched as his clones ran forward and surrounded Madara, Taijima, and all of their clones in a circling maneuver, so each person/clone had 5 clones surrounding them. Watching as his clone started his assault, Naruto stood back and observed his own handiwork, while he started to think. If he remembered correctly, then both Madara and Hashirama had been called the 2 strongest shinobi of their time, and not counting the Sage of 6 Paths and his family, the 2 strongest shinobi to ever live. If that was the case, and Naruto was so easily manhandling both Madara and her father, then Naruto was absolutely positive that he was the strongest shinobi alive at the moment. With that in mind, Naruto brought a hand up to his chin and hummed to himself as he thought about the Hidden Leaf Village. He wasn't sure when it was built exactly, as the shinobi world didn't use a yearly calendar until after the Hidden Leaf was built, but Naruto couldn't stop the thought of having the shinobi village built earlier than it probably was with him as the Hokage, the first Hokage. After all, to be the Hokage was his lifelong dream, and Naruto would not pass up on the chance to steal the hat from underneath Hashirama and Ashira, if he could. Plus Naruto was technically a descendant of 3 of the 4 major clans, not counting the Hyuga. As an Uzumaki, he was a cousin to the Senju clan, while also now being an Uchiha. If he, Naruto, became Hokage instead of Hashirama, then all 3 clans could say their clansman, or at least a descendant of their clan, was the first Hokage. But first Naruto would have to work on the hatred between the Uchiha clan and the Senju clan, but how? Ashira would be the way, if Naruto had to guess. I should create a shadow clone, and have it search down the Senju clan. Afterwards, I can kamui there and try to meet Ashira. There has to be a way I can get Madara and Ashira to join forces. I just need to keep Tobirama from killing Izanamori, so now that he's my student, I'm not losing more students if I can help it. Making a mental note to create the strongest shadow clone that he could after the fight was over, and no one was around, Naruto turned his attention back to the fight. All of Madara's and Taijima's clones had been dispelled, leaving the 2 to fight separately against 5 clones each, as Naruto's extra clones had dispelled. From all sides punches, kicks, elbows, and knees battered the two Uchihas who seemed overwhelmed at such an attacking force. When one clone would punch Madara or Taijima, sending their head flying to the side, another clone would be there throwing an elbow at their face, causing them to almost fall backwards before another Naruto clone was there, kicking them in the back and sending them into a knee to the gut. Plain and simple, both Madara and Taijima were getting jumped from all sides as the Uchiha clan watched on, stunned that there was someone strong enough to take on 40 of their clan's strongest, only to win then fight the clan head in his air, and dominate them as bad as Naruto was. Naruto could hear the whispers of shock and awe, could see the looks of amazement and jealousy coming from all those watching him. Most men stood there, fists balled in jealousy that one so much younger than them, or the same age as them, was so strong, while the women were looking at him as if he was a piece of meat. Hell, a few were even smiling at him, a coy smirk on their face as their arms pushed against their breasts, trying to make them seem bigger than what they were. Naruto shivered as he recalled back to the time he saved the village from pain. The same women that once scorned and shunned him, almost overnight, had done everything in their power to win him over. It was after that Naruto understood why Sasuke had hated fangirls so much as they saw them, Naruto and Sasuke, not as men with feelings and needs, but objects to be won for their own personal amusement and desires. Now Naruto could see the same looks of want and desire on the faces of the women of the Uchiha clan, as he once saw on the faces of the Hidden Leaf citizens. Turning away, while slightly blushing because of just the amount of women staring at him, Naruto turned his attention back to his clones, which at this point were beating Madara and Taijima into the ground. They were both bloody with broken noses, a few cuts and scrapes on their faces, and panting heavily as they were beaten down from all sides. Deciding he'd had enough fun for the day, as it looked like either Madara or Taijima could take any more punishment, Naruto dispelled the clones, which left Madara and Taijima a chance to turn and stare at Naruto. While Taijima was glaring, both amazed and pissed he'd been so thoroughly beaten, Madara had a look on her face that sent a shiver down Naruto's spine. After all, it was almost the same look the other women of the Uchiha clan were sending him, mixed with an almost hero worship. Naruto tried to push away the thought that he had saved her when she was about to die, giving her every reason to have a slight hero worship for him, and took off in a run. Both Madara and Taijima fell into a stance, albeit sluggishly due to the pain they felt, and braced themselves for Naruto's final attack. Dynamic entry. Jumping, Naruto stuck his right foot out while his left leg curled in, and pushed against his right leg to keep it from bending, just as he reached Taijima. Though the man's Sharingan was active, he was too tired and sluggish to dodge the attack, and took the kick directly to the chin. Flying backwards, everyone watched with bated breath to see if Taijima would and could get up, only for the man to lay there, eyes glazed over and staring up towards the sky as he was in shock he'd lost so badly to just one person, even with the help of his daughter. Trying his absolute best, Taijima was able to turn his head just in time to see the ending of the fight. With Taijima down, Naruto turned his attention to Madara, who was still giving him the same desire-filled look, but was standing tall and defiant in front of the raven-haired boy. Smirking, Naruto walked forward and patted Madara on the shoulder. "What happened, Madara-sama? I thought you were going to beat me, and make me acknowledge you as my superior, you know." Madara glared, her bloody face contorting into a full-face scowl as Naruto teased and mocked her. "Why, you just got lucky is all." Nodding wisely, Naruto turned and started to walk away from the girl, getting a raised eyebrow from Madara. Where are you going?" Even talking hurt more than anything Madara had felt before, as it felt like her ribs had been crushed and were pushing against her lungs, and everything else within her stomach. "Well, I've one, haven't I? I'm going to go tell the proctor to get the medics out here." Surprisingly, Madara shook her head and did her best to raise her fists again. "I'm still standing, aren't I?" Sighing to himself, Naruto could tell Madara would not appreciate him just walking away and getting the medics, even if he'd already won the fight. No, Madara wanted to fight until the very end, until she couldn't move anymore. Tilting his head to the side, Naruto shrugged and decided to end it in one more move. Walking up to her, and standing directly in front of Madara, Naruto cocked his arm back and spoke, "Fine then," in the words of my teammate, Sakura Shinaro. Letting his arm fly, Naruto punched Madara squarely on the jaw, and blasted the girl back where she went flying, head over heel a few times, hit the ground, and rolled for quite a distance before she stopped, out cold. "Woo! Naruto-sama!" Naruto jumped, having not expected to hear that, nor was he ready as he was swarmed on all sides from the men and women of the Uchiha clan, young and old alike. A few women immediately tried to grab his arm, and sandwich it between their breasts, while the men looked at him with amazement and jealousy. "That was amazing, Naruto-sama. Please, sir, make me your student and teach me your ways. Let me have your children, Naruto-sama. You're definitely the strongest in the clan. With you, we'll reach heights like never before. Oh dear, I have just the perfect woman for you to meet. She's my granddaughter, I think you'll like her." "Awesome. That was awesome, Oniai-san. Please teach me so I can kill those Senju bastards." Those were just a few of the things Naruto was able to make out from the crowd that was practically pulling his body apart as everyone grabbed onto him, trying to gain his attention. Blushing furiously at a few of the sentences he heard, Naruto pushed chakra into his Manjikyu and walked through the bodies of various I guess he could call them fans and admirers now. Everyone. Hey! Everyone! Noticing that it had quieted down a bit, Naruto got their attention and nervously scratched his head. Just Naruto is fine, I don't care for honorifics. And please excuse me, I want to make sure everyone I fought today is doing fine. Bowing his head slightly, Naruto walked away from the crowd of fans and admirers, just to notice a large group of Uchiha stood off to the side, glaring bloody murder at him as if he'd killed their favorite pet. Ignoring them, Naruto made his way to Izuna and Madara's side as the younger girl was receiving medical attention for the various wounds she'd received. So, what did you think of that, Chibi-kun? Izuna turned, his eyes shining with admiration for his new sensei. That was amazing, Naruto-sensei. You didn't even get hit once. The only person to even touch you was Darane, and even then you were in control of the situation the entire time. What were those golden chains you used? Can you teach me that? Shaking his head, Naruto patted the excited young boy on the head, and looked down at the passed-out Uchiha maiden. Sorry Chibi-kun, those are the adamantine chakra chains. Only those of the Uzumaki clan, with exceptionally potent chakra, are able to use the adamantine chakra chains. Seeing the forlorn look on Izuna's face had Naruto quickly thinking of something that'd make the boy happy. However, as my student, I do have a jutsu I can teach you someday. Izuna looked up, a smile on his face as he listened to Naruto, his new sensei. Really, what is it? Is it those clones? Because I copied that jutsu, and the shuriken one when you were fighting. The only one I didn't was that glowing blue ball. Naruto shook his head, exasperated at the fact that all of his hard work was just being copied from others. Still though, Naruto knew he had no right to complain because he'd copied quite a number of jutsu, mostly fire and a few lightning jutsu, from the Uchiha clan members he'd fought before Madara and Taijima. That glowing blue ball is actually called the Rasengan. My father invented the move and taught it to both his sensei and his student. His sensei, my godfather Jiraiya, taught it to me, and with the help of his student I was able to finish the jutsu, and add my wind element to it. Now, as my student, when you reach a level I think is acceptable, I'll teach the jutsu to you on one condition. Izuna immediately nodded his head, agreeing to whatever condition Naruto wanted, as he really wanted to leave the Rasengan. You have to promise to never teach the jutsu to anyone else. It's a family jutsu, and the only memento I have of my dad. Even if my dad was an Uchiha, Naruto grunted at the fact that he had to act like his dad. Minato was the son of Obito Uchiha, his grandfather, so no one could poke holes in his story. As my student, I'll teach you the jutsu as I did to my first student, Konohamaru, but you have to promise me, you'll keep the knowledge on how to learn the Rasengan to yourself. Izuna looked down at Madara, and Naruto could see the boy thinking to himself about possibly learning a jutsu he couldn't teach his sister. Still though, Izuna really wanted to learn such a powerful jutsu to protect his sister, which was enough for the boy to nod his head in agreement. Okay, I promise, Naruto-sensei. I won't teach the jutsu to anyone, and it's like you said, sensei. I won't go back on my word, I promise. Clapping the younger boy on the shoulder, Naruto turned his attention to the medic healing Madara. How is she? You need me to do anything? The medic shook her head, but kept her attention on Madara. No, I'm healing all of her wounds, but she's suffering from chakra exhaustion, so she'll need a few nights rest to recover what she lost. Other than that, she's fine. Kneeling down, Naruto placed a hand on Madara's shoulder, and gave her a full dose of chakra, completely filling her up. There, problem solved. I restored her reserves back to normal, so all you need to do is heal her wounds and she'll be fine. Due to the restoring of her reserves, Madara started to slowly open her eyes. Izuna immediately threw himself at Madara, and hugged the girl tightly as she turned and saw Naruto standing over her, a smile on his face. Did I lose? Seeing that nod coming from Naruto had Madara sighing at the fact that she finally found someone her age that could so easily wipe the floor with her. The only saving grace that stopped her from feeling so bad was the fact that Madara was positive not even Ashira and her stupid brother Tobirama stood a chance against Naruto, who seemed like a god amongst shinobi even at his young age. Yeah, but good fight, Madara-chan. I haven't had this much fun fighting people in a long time. Naruto stood up and stretched as his back popped in various places before he turned and found Taijima being attended to by a few medics. Deciding to give the siblings some time alone, Naruto left and made his way towards Taijima. Placing a hand on his shoulder as the various medics kept healing his body, Naruto refilled the man's chakra reserves. Hey, good fight, old man. Taijima grunted, his pride as an Uchiha damaged at the fact that Naruto had enough chakra to refill his and Madara's reserves, while not being winded or tired from the multiple opponents he'd just taken on, while he himself was stuck laying on the ground, bloody and bruised all over. Yes, good fight, Uzumaki Uchiha-san. I'd heard you were powerful, but this? I'm simply dumbfounded. One as strong as you walks amongst us. I'm not sure there's a single person in the elemental nations that can take you on in a direct confrontation. Maybe the Uzumaki, as much as it pains me to admit it, but seals are a dangerous thing that should never be underestimated. Naruto smirked, his pride at being an Uzumaki showing for the praise Taijima was giving them, and their ability to use Fuinjutsu, something Naruto knew nothing about. He just didn't have the patience to sit there and write on papers perfectly. Nonetheless, good fight Uzumaki Uchiha-san. You're obviously the better fighter, and clearly the best fighter within the clan. Sitting up, Taijima popped his back and looked around, trying to find his children only to notice Madara sitting up as well, partially healed from the single medic working on her. Having seen Naruto's ability to fight, and knowing the boy could keep his children safe, had Taijima thinking. It was time to send Naruto on a mission, on behalf of the Uchiha clan, and who better to send with him than Madara and Izuna, Naruto's friend and student. Turning towards Naruto, Taijima spoke. If you'll excuse me, Uzumaki Uchiha-san, I need to talk to my clan elders immediately. Please go and enjoy yourself within town for the time being. Getting a nod in reply, Taijima watched as Naruto instead made his way back to Madara and Izuna. Standing up, Taijima looked around and found his clan elders glaring bloody murder at Naruto's back. Oh well, Naruto could take care of himself, on the off chance his elders tried anything. With Naruto, he rejoined Madara and Izuna, just as Izuna was helping Madara to her feet, albeit a little shakily. While her body had been healed, and Nerad had refilled her chakra reserves, she was still incredibly sore all over. Helping out, Naruto threw one of Madara's arms over his shoulder just as Izuna did the same thing, and helped her stand up. I can stand on my own. Not wanting to seem weak in front of either her brother or friend, had Madara pushing the two away as she huffed and shakily stood on her own 2 feet, only swaying slightly for a second before her balance returned to her. Madara-chan, are you okay? Seeing the sincere worry on Naruto's face gave Madara pause, as she wasn't used to dealing with people that actually cared about her well-being. Nodding just ever so slightly, Madara could see the relief on Naruto's face, which brought a small smile to her own. I'm fine, your sore is all, Naruto-san. You're an excellent fighter, and that was a well-fought match. Thank you. Bowing her head slightly, Madara looked up to see Naruto giving her a lopsided grin. Heh, no problem, Madara-chan. I had fun, but that lopsided grin turned into an outright teasing grin as he spoke. I believe it's Naruto-sama, right, Dara-chan? Taking in a deep, but slow breath, Madara looked up to Naruto with a glare on her face, though she said nothing because, as much as she hated it, they had made an agreement the day before the fight. She had lost, and now had to fulfill her end of the bet even if she sure as hell did not want to. Looking around, and making sure no one was within earshot, Madara looked down at Izuna, then turned back to Naruto as her face scrunched up in annoyance and anger. I find good fight, mumble mumble mumble. Raising an eyebrow, Naruto scratched the side of his head as Izuna snickered to himself a little bit. I'm sorry, but what? I didn't hear you, Madara-chan. Madara glared bloody murder towards Naruto, her fist clenching against her palms so hard she was about to draw blood. Fine. I said good fight, Naruto-sama. There, you happy now? Huffing, Madara turned away from Naruto and started to storm off, with Izuna trailing behind her. However, upon noticing that Naruto wasn't following her, the Uchiha maiden turned around, walked up to Naruto, grabbed his arm, and started to forcefully drag him alongside her, except something was different this time. Why are they all glaring at me like that? I'm their future clan head. All around the field, women of various ages glared at Madara for daring to grab what they perceived to be theirs. Turning to Naruto, Madara could see an atomic blush on his face, further confusing the 16-year-old. Oh well, scratching his head with his only free arm, Naruto tried to find the best way to explain why various girls were glaring at Madara, mumbling about Naruto being theirs. I have fangirls now? It took a few seconds for Madara to realize what he meant, but when she did, she turned and glared absolute murder with her eyes towards the crowd of Uchiha women. Pulling Naruto's arm even closer to her body, Madara stormed off and dragged the Uzumaki Uchiha hybrid with her, while using her eyes to dare someone to so much as speak up, unless they want to face her wrath. While she may not appreciate her father ordering her to do such a thing, Madara would rather it be her that managed to seduce Naruto, than some hussy that cared nothing for the raven-haired boy, and was only using him as a means for strength and fame. Madara tried to push away the uneasy thought of that's exactly what I'm trying to do though, ain't it? Madara-chan? Naruto grimaced because Madara's fingers were digging into his arm so hard they were about to draw blood. What? Sharing an uneasy look with Izuna, who'd never seen his sister act this way, Naruto tried to gently speak to the fuming girl. Could you stop squeezing into my arm so hard, it kind of hurts, you know? Looking down, Madara noticed she was doing exactly what Naruto said she was, squeezing his arm so hard that the skin around his wrist was starting to turn white from blood loss. Easing up, but not letting go, Madara huffed and kept pulling the Uchiha clan's new playboy along, and back into the village proper. Madara-chan? This time, Madara turned towards Naruto, glaring bloody murder at him. No! I'm not letting go of your arm. So deal with it. Shaking his head, Naruto pointed off towards the side, where a single, unimpressive ramen cart stood. Could we, get some ramen please? It's my favorite food, and I haven't had any in over a week. Looking, Madara found the cart, and, after seeing the wanting look on Naruto's face, nodded and dragged him off to the cart. Naruto, Madara, and Izuna each took a seat on one of the stools, and were joined quickly by a robust man, with closed eyes, and a happy smile on his face. A wonderful day it is, when you two join me, Madara-sama, Izuna-sama. But tell me, who might you be? Noticing the man was speaking to him, Naruto spoke up, an obvious excitement in his voice as he practically bounced in his seat. Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, your new best customer, old man. Give me 3 bowls of miso, a bowl of shio, a bowl of shoyu, and a bowl of tonkatsu ramen with extra meat. The smile that split across the man's face was telling, as if he just hit the jackpot. Nodding happily, the man took Madara's and Izuna's order, who just ordered a 1 bowl of shio ramen and a bowl of tonkatsu ramen, then got to work serving everything up. In the meantime, Izuna took his chance to talk to Naruto some more. So, Naruto-sensei, when will we begin my training? Humming to himself, Naruto turned and gave the excited Uchiha boy a smile. We can start tomorrow, if you want. We'll spar so I can see where you're at, then after that we can begin, though I should tell you, I've never truly trained anyone. My last student, Konohamaru, was already incredibly smart, and had an actual teacher. I just taught him jutsu. But I should be able to teach you, using what my master, Erosenin, taught me. A snort to the left of Naruto had both Naruto and Izuna turning to Madara. I'm sorry, but pervy sage? That's what you called the man who trained you? Naruto nodded, a wistful smile filling his face. Yeah, Erosenin was a self-proclaimed super pervert. He loved women, but he was also incredibly strong, and was the father figure I desperately needed in my life. He might have been a pervert that joked around a lot, but when I truly needed him he'd get serious, and give me life lessons and talks that I needed to know. He made me into the man that I am today. My dream was handed down to me from Erosenin, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him. Madara frowned, her black eyes meeting Naruto's amethyst-colored eyes as she realized so far, every person he had talked about was dead. His parents? Said they were dead due to the manipulations of that Setsu person. Sasuke? Gone, as Naruto had said, which to her, meant he was dead. Konohamaru? Though he didn't say it, Madara could tell from his wavering voice that the kid was dead as well. Hiruzen, the leader of the village Naruto lived in, was probably dead too, as Naruto said he was like a grandfather to him. Now, this Erosenin? Dead as well? What about that Kakashi person, your sensei and your teammate Sakura? She couldn't stop herself. Madara wanted to know that Naruto had at least one person left in his life, as she couldn't imagine being alive, with absolutely no one, not even her brother, to not be around for her. Sadly, Naruto merely shook his head. Nope, it's just me. Hearing the broken and defeated tone in Naruto's voice, Madara did something she'd never done with anyone else, reached over, lightly grabbing Naruto's hand with her own, and gave him a small smile. Well, you're an Uchiha, so you have your clan now. Plus, you have Izuna, your new student, and you have me as well, your friend, remember? Staring at her, Naruto couldn't help the smile that split across his face. Madara was truly different from how he imagined an Uchiha woman to be, though he never actually thought about that. Still, Sasuke, never in Naruto's wildest dreams, would try and make someone feel better like Madara was. He really appreciated the gesture. Thank you, Madara-chan. That means a lot to me. Holding his hand for just a few seconds, Madara pulled back and blushed at the fact she just grabbed someone's, a male's, hand. While that all was happening, Izuna watched from the side, a small smile on his face as he watched the emotions on his sister's face. While only 12, Izuna was smart enough to understand what he was seeing. Looking at Naruto, Izuna inspected the raven-haired boy thoroughly, then nodded to himself. If there was anyone he wanted with his sister, it would be Naruto. While he'd only known the older boy for less than a day, already Izuna could tell Naruto was a better man than most. Your dream, what is it, Naruto-sensei? Deciding to break up the moment between his sensei and sister, as it was what brothers were meant for, Izuna asked the question of something he caught in Naruto's explanation about his master, Erosenin. Naruto slightly frowned, debating on telling both Izuna and Madara about his dream for world peace. While he wanted them to know so they could help him achieve that peace he sought after, he Naruto also knew their hatred and distrust of the Senju was too fresh for either of them to see things his way. That, and he didn't want either of them to spit on his master's dream, as it would hurt the man that had lost everything but his dream. Opening his mouth to speak, Naruto was cut off as a bowl of ramen was placed in front of him. Madara and Izuna. Here you go. 1 shio ramen, and 2 tonkatsu ramens. When you finish that one, I'll bring another out for you, my new favorite customer. Thankful for the distraction, Naruto was quick to grab a pair of chopsticks, break them apart, roll them in between his hands, give a quick thanks for the food before absolutely devouring the heavenly noodles in front of him. It had been more than a week, if not more, since Naruto last had ramen. He'd had almost 15 bowls at Ichiraku's before he was forced to go hide on Turtle Island, under the guise of a scientific research expedition, and gaining control of Kurama, while the rest of the world was at war. While having some instant ramen while on the island, Naruto ate it all within a few days, leaving him with the bland, regular food everyone else was eating. After that, he'd fought in a war for 2 days, sealed away a goddess, and died at the hands of his best friend, only to be revived by his spiritual father, the sage of the 6 paths. Now, he was here within Soraku, seated next to a female Madara and her little brother, Izuna, his new student, absolutely devouring some ramen. Seeing that they'd not get an answer from Naruto, both Madara and Izuna turned to their own food and started to eat, albeit at a much slower and cleaner pace than Naruto. falling into a comfortable silence. No one said a word as they all ate, hungry after the events of the day. As it was nearing dusk, the transition from daytime to night. Though Madara had dragged Naruto to the training ground for his fights in the morning, a fight of 40 versus 1 and 2 versus 1 had taken almost all day. So, in other words, all three Uchiha were beyond hungry. Madara-sama, Izuna-sama, Uzumaki Uchiha-sen. Hearing a voice calling for them, the three set down their food and turned to the side, to see a boy about Naruto and Madara's age standing there in a bow. Sup? Seeing as Madara's mouth was full, Naruto took the lead and spoke up. Taijima-sama wishes to see you three. I have been instructed to lead you to Taijima-sama, who awaits you alongside the clan elders. Eyes widening, Madara hurriedly chewed and swallowed her food as she knew what this meant. Reaching into her pocket and pulling out a wallet, Madara threw enough cash down to cover all of their food, then grabbed Naruto by the arm and started to pull him alongside her just as Izuna fell in step. There is no need. I can find my own way there. You're dismissed. Naruto wanted to rant about his ramen, and the fact that he was forcefully being pulled away from it, but the way Madara answered the messenger sent to get them gave him pause. She seemed so lively and happy talking to him. Now, her face was set in a scowl, while her voice seemed ice cold. It was more Uchiha-like, a vast difference to what he'd seen on the girl's face the last day he'd known her. Darane, is father sending us on another mission? Naruto raised both his eyebrows in surprise, but stayed silent as Madara talked to Izuna. Yes, I believe so. I'm sure father wishes to see how us three can handle a mission together. Plus, with Naruto-san here, it's a guaranteed success for us, so be prepared for something dangerous, Izuna. If it's so dangerous, wouldn't it be best if I go alone or something? I mean, you can handle yourself, Madara, but I don't know what Izuna is capable of. No offense, Chibi-kun. While he tried to hide it, Naruto could tell Izuna did in fact take offense to Naruto saying he wanted him to stay back. Izuna will be fine, especially because he'll be with us. Not only that, since my father has called for him, there's nothing we can do about Izuna coming along with us. Frowning, Naruto accepted the fact that if Taijima wanted Izuna to come, then Izuna was going to come. That didn't mean Naruto had to like it though. Following Madara deep into Soraku, Naruto was led to a giant-looking building, with, of course, the Uchiha clan paper fan stitched into a banner, and hanging above the double door into the building. Walking past a desk with someone doing some paperwork, the three went down a few halls, up a flight of stairs, and found a big double door at the end of a hallway. Raising a hand to knock, Madara, Naruto and Izuna were told to enter from a booming voice on the inside. Walking in, both Izuna and Madara bowed in respect, but Naruto simply stood there, arms crossed as he looked at the accumulated people in the room. Taijima stood in front of everyone, still bruised, but wearing fresh clothing, while about 9 other people sat in what looked to be beanbag chairs. In Naruto's eyes, as he didn't actually know what they were called, glaring at Naruto. You insolent whelp! Bow before your betters! Raising an eyebrow, Naruto found the 150-year-old looking man who made a demand of him, and grinned. If you're supposed to bow before your betters, then why aren't you bowing to me? While Naruto could care less about people bowing to him, he knew it'd piss the older-than-dirt men off in front of him. As Taijima pinched the bridge of his nose, and shook his head, everyone else shot to their feet and started to scream. How dare you! We are the Uchiha clan elders. You're just some filthy quarter-blooded Uzumaki, boy. I demand you show me the respect I deserve. In a move that many would call childish, Naruto stuck his tongue out at the man while pulling down one eyelid and blew a raspberry at the man. Respect is earned, not given, and you've done nothing to earn my respect, old man. Now what do you old farts want? I was enjoying my ramen with Madara-chan and Chibi-kun. Instead of moving along, and telling them why they were summoned, the old man, again, blew up on Naruto. It is Madara-sama and Izuna-sama, children of Taijima-sama, to you boy. This isn't the Uzumaki clan, a barbaric, rambunctious clan. This is the Uchiha. In the blink of an eye, Naruto crossed the room and grabbed the man by the collar of his robes and hoisted him up, his amethyst-colored eyes turning into the red and black of his Manjikyu Sharingan. Do not talk about the Uzumaki clan as if you know them, old man. You're some has-been that's probably not even seen battle in 50 years, so don't sit here and lecture me about stuff you know nothing about. You want my respect? Earn it. If I want your respect, which I don't give a toad's ass about, then I'll earn it. Feeling a hand on his arm, Naruto turned and looked at Taijima, who seemed neither happy nor mad about what was going on. Enough. Please, set the honorable elder down, and join my daughter and son. Giving one last glare towards the old man, Naruto set him down and joined Madara and Izuna as everyone but the main family glared bloody daggers at him. Hell, Madara had a mirthful look on her face, obviously loving the fact that the elder had been put in his place, while Izuna was looking at Naruto as if he was crazy for even daring to raise a hand against an honorable elder. Sai, the reason you three have been called here is I have a mission for you. Madara, I am assigning you as team leader, with Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, and Izuna Uchiha at your command. The mission details are in this scroll. Here, throwing the scroll, Taijima watched as the scroll sailed across the room, right into the awaiting hands of his daughter. Opening it, Madara used her Sharingan to memorize the details of the mission she was being given command of. As you can see, The Senju clan, alongside the Nara clan, recently led an attack and took over one of our outposts situated on the border of the Land of Fire and the Land of Rivers. Your mission is to go there, take the outpost back, and eliminate all hostiles in the vicinity. You will leave by tomorrow morning, do you understand? Nodding, Madara used a small fire jutsu to burn the scroll, stood up, and started to make her way towards the door, intent on getting ready for her first mission with Naruto at her side. However, hearing only one set of footsteps behind her had Madara turning around, just in time to see Naruto raise a middle finger to the seething old man that wanted nothing more than to kill the filthy Uzumaki. Naruto! Enough, let's go! Foregoing all sense of honorifics and etiquette with how she was supposed to act in front of the honorable elders, Madara stormed forward and grabbed Naruto by the arm, then forcefully started to pull him out of the room. Waiting until she was out of sight of her father and the elders, Madara stopped and turned towards Naruto, a glare on her face though Naruto could tell she was trying really hard to not smile. You idiot! What were you thinking, just antagonizing the honorable elders like that? Naruto grinned, and leaned towards Madara who leaned backwards, not entirely comfortable with Naruto's face being so close to hers regardless of the fact that she was already comfortable with holding his arm and dragging him around like a ragdoll. So what? Like I said, they want my respect, then earn it. If I want their respect, then I'll earn it. Respect's earned, not given. Staring at Naruto for a few seconds, Madara shook her head in exasperation, and started to drag the raven-haired man once again. Honestly, you're unbelievable. Only you would talk to the elders like that, and get away with it. Even as heir of the clan, I have to show them respect. Though unlike you, I do respect them for the contributions and sacrifices they've made for the clan. Naruto shrugged, not entirely caring. If they were going to be rude to him, and demand respect, then Naruto would be rude to them and give them no respect. I firmly believe in treating others the way you want to be treated. You've treated me with respect since I met you, so I do the same. Same as Izuna, and your father. But the elders? I didn't know who they were at first, but after I beat you and your dad I could see them glaring at me, pissed I'd beaten you too. It's why I didn't bow to them when I walked in. Everything after was on them. Anyways, about this mission. When do you want to meet up, and leave? Frowning, Madara turned to Naruto and started to think about the best time to leave. She was still a little sore, and needed some physical rest before they took on such a mission. We'll leave tomorrow morning, before the sun rises. I need some rest after our fight today, and you need more equipment. It'll take us, at full speed no stops, about 4 days to get to the outpost. Factor in rest breaks, and time to sleep, about 6 days. So we'll be gone 2 weeks at the earliest, not counting how long it'll take to take back the outpost. Reaching into her shuriken pouch, Madara pulled her wallet out and grabbed every single bill in the wallet, then handed it to Naruto. Here, use this money to get whatever equipment you need. Before we leave, Izuna and I will meet you at your apartment to set out for our mission, so be awake. Naruto was about to refuse the money but thought better of it. He could just use the creation of all things to make some equipment for himself. Grabbing the money, Naruto shoved it in his back pocket, and nodded. Got it, I'll go get some sleeping bags, kunai and shuriken, and everything else I need. I'll see you two tomorrow morning. Waving goodbye, Naruto used a body flicker technique to return to his apartment. I better create everything I need, then I'll get some sleep for the night. Getting to work, Naruto started to create everything he could possibly need, which was then sucked up into the Kamui's dimension. Kunai, shuriken, a backpack and sleeping mat, a medical kit, some non-perishable food and instant cup ramen, and so much more. Hell, he even created 2 more hidden leaf headbands, sucked up the one Irika gave him into the Kamui dimension, and put on one of the newer ones with the promise of giving the second newest one to Izuna, as a way to show Izuna was Naruto's student. Finally, Naruto created the strongest lasting shadow clone that he could, which set off on its journey to find Ashira Senju, so Naruto could introduce himself to the girl, and start his plans of finding peace between the Uchiha and the Senju. With all that done, Naruto set off for bed, ready for his first real mission within this timeline, alongside Madara and Izuna. What if Naruto goes back in time to save the Uzumaki clan? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.